Chapter 2301. Although his current sect was already a top-notch existence in the current martial arts world, and even the heads of the ancient sects had to respectfully refer to it as that place, and did not dare to directly call the sect by its name, it was still the same as before. However, that wasn't what the Xianxin ancestor wanted. What he wanted was to return to that level, the level that his sect should have returned to. And to return to that level, he and his fellow disciples had to step into a higher realm. Stepping into a higher realm was inseparable from that plan. But now, everything had become a bubble? Was it all for naught? Looking at the extremely ugly expression on his master's face, Old Six smiled bitterly and said, "It's all my fault and 12th junior brother's fault. We made a mistake, please punish us, master." "Forget it, I don't care about this." The Xianxin ancestor waved his hand. "I also didn't expect that after so many years, that crazy old man's martial arts didn't retreat, but instead advanced. He was actually able to create such a large force to kill little 13. Even if you guys met him, your chances of winning weren't high. Now that the two of you can return safely, it can be considered a blessing in misfortune." The Xianxin ancestor didn't blame his disciple carelessly because he also knew that his disciple was actually innocent in this matter. After all, this matter was unpredictable. If he had known that the heaven stage crazy old man had become so powerful, he would have even sent little 1 and little 2. He wouldn't have left this matter to little 6 and little 12. "Thank you for your understanding, master." Old Six breathed a sigh of relief. It seemed that although his master was sad, he could still distinguish right from wrong and wouldn't blame others carelessly. "Have you found out anything about that Zhang Naipeo? Who is he and where did he come from?" The Xianxin ancestor asked. "Big senior brother has already gone to find out. There should be news soon, right?" Old Six said. "And?" The Xianxin ancestor nodded. Just as they spoke, a peak late-stage heaven stage master whose strength was infinitely close to the great perfection stage walked in. This person was the big senior brother that Old Six mentioned. "Lily, you're back. Is there any news?" Patriarch Black Earth asked indifferently. "Shifu, after some investigation, that Zhang Naipeo is from the Everyday and Everyday sect, the disciple of the sect's leader. It said that he's the candidate chosen by their elder to train in the chrysanthemum arts." The big brother evidently knew some of the Xianxin elder's plans and secrets, and so his expression was very troubled. "What? He's from the Everyday and Everyday sect, and he's a cultivator of the chrysanthemum treasure book?" Patriarch Xianxin was stunned, and his expression became a little strange. He didn't want to offend the Everyday and Everyday sect if it wasn't necessary, and if he wanted to carry out the final plan, the disciples of the Everyday and Everyday sect who trained in the chrysanthemum treasure book were an important part of the plan. In order to start the plan, there must be someone who trained in the chrysanthemum treasure book wasp absorption arts. "That's right, but whether it's that Zhang Naipeo or not, I don't know for now. I've already sent a letter to ask about the Everyday and Everyday sect's Zhang Naipeo's recent movements, if it's him." The big brother paused here and didn't continue. "It's good that it's not him, but if it's him, then we won't be able to get our revenge. Who told Tagunlong to be so blind and offend Zhang Naipeo?" The Xianxin ancestor sighed and said helplessly. "But I don't think it's him. After all, if it really is that Zhang Naipeo from the Everyday and Everyday sect, then with his wasp absorption arts, he wouldn't be so helpless in front of the Earth Class 5 protector, and even saved by the Fire Lion." Old Six said after some hesitation. "What little Six said makes sense." The Xianxin ancestor waved his hand and said, "Fortunately, I still have a backup plan. Now activate the second backup plan. Little E, you go and arrange it. Of course, don't let up on the medicine for Tagunlong's treatment. Find it as soon as possible." "Yes, master." The big brother nodded and quickly responded. However, Old Six and Old 12 didn't know what the backup plan was. They still couldn't come into contact with these core secrets, but they didn't dare to ask casually. They just stood at the side and waited quietly. After the big brother left, the Xianxin ancestor waved his hand at Old Six and Old 12 and said, "You guys leave first, I have to carefully think about the future plan." "Yes, master." Old Six and Old 12 also cupped their fists at the same time and carefully left. The Xianxin ancestor was not in a good mood at the moment. Although there was a backup plan, there was an irreparable flaw in the backup plan. Unless those inheritors also had some kind of heaven-defying situation, this flaw could not be made up for. Tagunlong didn't have such a problem, but there was no other way. Before Tagunlong's injuries were healed, the Xianxin ancestor had to use the backup plan. Even if the backup plan was flawed, it was still better than losing everything in the end. There was no turning back. The Xiantian ancestor had waited for so many years and finally the inheritors appeared frequently. He didn't want to miss this rare opportunity. The Xiantian ancestor stood in the hall from day to night, not moving at all. At night, the big brother returned again. Master, the Everyday sect replied that Zhang Naipeo has been meeting friends in the sect recently and hasn't left. The big brother took the letter from the Everyday sect and presented it to the master. I don't want to read it. The Everyday sect wouldn't lie and they aren't weak either. There's no need to lie to us. The Xiantian ancestor sighed. This Zhang Naipeo is most likely someone with the same name, or he's trying to frame the Everyday sect. Or maybe he's a descendant of the sect on the mountain, framing the Everyday sect, wanting to see us fight with them. He's just sitting on top of the mountain and watching the tigers fight. That should be it. The big brother nodded, thinking so too. How is it? Have you informed the spy to prepare to take over the Mingzi? The Xiantian ancestor asked. I've already sent the letter through the bird, but although the spy is strong, the chance of success should be smaller if we let him do it now. What if he fails? The big brother hesitated and said, there's no way out. According to my calculations, the time is getting closer and closer. If we miss it, who knows how long we'll have to wait. I can't wait and I can't wait. I can only tell the spy to be more careful. The Xiantian ancestor said. Man, can't we help? The big brother asked. Chapter 2302. At this point, the Xiantian ancestor didn't say anything else, evidently not wanting to explain more. The big Xixiang on the other hand didn't ask any more. Then I'll tell the spy to get ready. Go, but don't let anyone know about the spies. Some sects that don't have a successor might become envious. They might not dare to openly oppose us, but if they do something in the dark, we won't be able to guard against them. Patriarch Xiantian said. I understand. Don't worry, Shifu, only you and I know about the spy. Even the spy himself doesn't know his fate. The big Xixiang said. Alright, go. The Xiantian ancestor nodded. Donghai City. Lingshan had captured the kidnappers, but hadn't been able to get any information out of them. After reporting to Huaijuan, Lingshan came to the conclusion that the mastermind behind this kidnapping case and the fake Lin Yi case in Songshan could be the same mastermind. It was possible that the two cases could be connected at the same time. But if that was the case, the clues would be broken. Whether it was the fake Lin Yi or the kidnapper, they were both idiots. According to the doctor, their brains had been destroyed by the drug, and everything they did was based on hypnosis. They didn't have any consciousness of their own. Both Lingshan and Huaijuan were quite troubled by this situation. The kidnapper was caught, and they knew that there was an 80% chance that there was a mastermind behind this, but they couldn't find any clues from the kidnapper. If this was a headache, there would be even more headaches after this. Not long after Wang Xinyan's kidnapping was over, another student was kidnapped at Donghai Industry University in Donghai City. This time, the student was a sophomore, and his father was the chairman of a famous company in the city. He had over 500 million in assets, and the kidnapper also extorted 10 million from the chairman. However, the chairman followed the kidnapper's instructions and didn't call the police. He transferred 10 million to the kidnapper, and the kidnapper kept his word and let his son go. After seeing his son return home safely, the chairman came to the police station to report the case. As for whether or not they caught the kidnapper, it didn't matter to him anymore. As long as his son was safe, everything was fine. He didn't really care about the 10 million. Lingshan, on the other hand, was troubled by this. Weren't these kidnappers a little too bold? They just failed once and now they were kidnapping again? From the kidnapping methods and the amount of ransom demanded, it could be determined that these two kidnappings were done by the same criminal organization behind the scenes. The kidnapper who was caught before was just a small character who carried out the execution on the surface. Even though he was caught, it couldn't hurt the criminal organization. However, that was not the case. The 02 drug was not that easy to concoct. The success rate of concocting the culture fluid was currently very low. With Professor Yin's hard work, he had finally managed to concoct 2 doses of 02 drug. If he were to concoct another one, it would be very difficult. It was not something he could succeed in a short period of time. This drug was much stronger than the 01, but the fact that it couldn't be mass-produced was a huge drawback. He could only slowly research and improve it. And so, Jianghu's resources were greatly damaged after the kidnapper was captured. Fortunately, the second target's family was very obedient, and gave him the money just like that. It saved Jianghu a lot of trouble. Well done. Jianghu praised Li Biaohan and Scorpion. Li Biaohan, you've chosen a good target this time, consider it as making up for your mistake of choosing Wang Xinyan. Did you find the third one? Brother Wen, I also found the third target, but it's not from our school. I'm afraid that it will attract the attention of the police if I choose the rich young master of our school again, so this time I chose a rich girl from the nearby economics university. Li Biaohan said. A girl? Jiang Wen's heart skipped a beat. Are you sure this rich girl is fine? She's not Lin Yi's mistress or something, is she? Don't go against that guy again. Definitely not. She looks like a dinosaur from Jurassic Park. Lin Yi wouldn't like her. Li Biaohan said, plus this girl's private life is messy. She has a couple of gigolos and she often goes to bars and nightclubs. That's good. Jiang Wen nodded in relief. Lin Yi wouldn't like a piece of trash like her. Is her family very rich? That's right, she's the only daughter, but her father is a gangster leader, and he opened an underground casino in the southern district. He's quite powerful. Li Biaohan explained. Oh, he's just a gangster, it's fine. Jiang Wen didn't look at him at all. How could a gangster who opened a casino be compared to the firewolves? But this rich girl has a bodyguard, and according to our investigation he should be a practitioner, but we're not sure of his exact strength, Li Biaohan said. It's fine, he shouldn't be that strong anymore, let's do it. Jiang Wen said to Scorpion, but remember it's 20 million, a casino owner must have more cash, it's a waste not to take it. Yes. Scorpion nodded. Hence, the next day the daughter of a famous gambler in the underworld was kidnapped. It was said that there was a golden-class bodyguard by his daughter's side. However, this bodyguard was nothing in front of the kidnappers. With a kick he was sent flying. He was lying on the ground, unable to move and seriously injured. Gambler Bro was a gangster and his daughter was kidnapped, and his golden-class bodyguard was injured as well. This made him angry and shocked, but after calming down he understood one thing, the kidnappers were very strong, and even a golden-class bodyguard was nothing in front of them. He had a lot of henchmen and another golden-class master in the casino, but none of them were a match for the kidnappers. They weren't even enough to fill the gaps between their teeth. And so, arm wrestling with the kidnappers was impossible. But naturally, Gambler Bro wouldn't go to the police. After all, he was a gangster boss and it was embarrassing enough that his daughter was kidnapped. What would the other gangsters think? Plus, he looked at the problem from a gangster's point of view, trying to guess what the kidnappers were thinking. He felt that if he called the police, the kidnappers would kill him in a fit of anger. And so, Gambler Bro hesitated and decided to pay. It was only 20 million, right? Gambler Bro gritted his teeth and paid. 20 million was exactly the amount of cash he could take out right now. Chapter 2303. This incident, although Gamble Bro didn't report it to the police, but it had already spread out in the underworld. In the end, it fell into Lingshan's ears through an informant. Although Gamble Bro didn't report it, Lingshan couldn't pretend that nothing had happened. This was the third kidnapping case. It seemed like the culprit was very aggressive. In the inn at the border town. When Sun Jingyi woke up, it was already night time. Lin Yi saw that Sun Jingyi had woken up and returned to reality from the jade space. You're awake? How do you feel? I had a good sleep, the best sleep I've had for the past few days. Sun Jingyi was full of energy. Let's eat something and go back, Lin Yi said. He didn't want to stay here any longer. Everything was done, it was time to go back. Okay. Sun Jingyi nodded. To be honest, she wanted to go back as well. Ruilita town was too dangerous, and she wanted to go back as soon as possible. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi packed their luggage and left the room. They paid the bill at the first floor of the inn and went to the parking lot behind the inn. Lin Yi's eyes widened and after a while he cursed angrily, "Fuck, where's my car?" Lin Yi's jeep was gone. When Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi left the border town, the car was parked in the parking lot behind the inn. Because Lin Yi left under the arrangement of the local people, the car was left in the parking lot of the inn. Although it was an open-air parking lot, Lin Yi didn't think that the car could be lost here. Sun Jingyi, on the other hand, was startled as well. She didn't check the car when she got back to the inn. In her mind, the car shouldn't have been lost, but looking at the empty parking lot, Sun Jingyi felt a headache. What do we do? Lin Yi hesitated as well. It was just a car, and to be honest, Lin Yi didn't feel bad about losing it, but this car was different. Lin Yi drove it to the Ice Palace, and it was the companion that accompanied him and Xiao Xiao for the last part of their lives. As a result, Lin Yi had a special feeling towards this car, and this was also the reason why Lin Yi didn't change cars. Now that the car was lost, Lin Yi didn't want to part with it. He thought about it and decided to look for it. It was best to ask the local gangsters for this kind of thing. After all, the car had been lost for who knew how many days, and who knew if it was still in this border town. I'll call the local guy, Lin Yi thought of the guy. This guy was known as the local guy, so naturally he had a lot of information. He dialed Tuan Tong's phone number and Tuan Tong quickly picked up the phone. Hello? I'm the local guy. Local guy, it's me. I asked you for help to go to Rielida a few days ago, Linny said. Bro, it's you? Are you coming back? I'll send someone to pick you up. The guy got excited when he heard that it was Linny. I'm already back, there's no need to pick me up, Linny said. I see, then why are you looking for me, bro? The guy was a little disappointed when he heard that Linny was already back. It seemed like he wouldn't be able to earn any more money. I have something to ask you. Don't worry, the pay won't be lower than before, Linny said. Ah, that's no problem. Bro, what's the matter? Just say it. I'm the local guy. The guy was immediately excited when he heard that there was a job. It's still the same Dragon Gate Inn. Come over, we'll wait for you at the door, Linny said. Okay, I'm coming now, the guy said happily. Sure enough, it didn't take long for the guy to drive a Jetta that was almost scrapped. When he saw Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi, he ran out of the car enthusiastically. Bro, are you looking for me? Let's go in and talk, Linny said, pointing to the inside of the inn. Lin Yi and Jingyi wouldn't be able to leave today, and so they went back to the room they'd been staying in before asking the local to take them upstairs. Now that the inn's restaurant was closed, they couldn't eat. However, the guy didn't care about this. He came here to make money. He followed Lin Yi to the room. After sitting down, he couldn't wait to ask, Bro, is there anything you need me to do? The car I drove before was lost. Lin Yi said, You are the local guy. Can you help me find out where the car went? The car was lost? Is it that Grand Cherokee? The guy still remembered Lin Yi's car. Yes, it's that one. Lin Yi nodded. This. The guy frowned and said, Bro, forgive me for being straightforward. I can probably guess which group of people stole this car, but the car that was stolen by them can't be found. Your Grand Cherokee doesn't look very good. It's not worth much money. Bro, do you have to find it back? The car has a special meaning for me, said Lin Yi. This is the case, but bro, I'm telling the truth. This matter isn't easy to handle. The guy smiled bitterly. Apparently he was afraid of something. Lin Yi saw the guy's thoughts, but he didn't want to explain more nonsense to the guy. He just wanted to know the result as soon as possible, so he said directly, 200,000. Tomorrow morning, I want to know the specific whereabouts of the car. Can you do it? Yes. The guy listened to Lin Yi's price and took a deep breath. This stolen Grand Cherokee, which couldn't be transferred, could probably be sold for 100 or 200,000 on the black market. Lin Yi directly offered a price of 200,000 just to find the car. Obviously, he really cared about the car. However, there was a saying that the timid would starve to death and the bold would die. Although there was some risk in inquiring about this matter, 200,000, the guy couldn't help but be moved. Okay. The guy suddenly stood up and said with a red face, Bro, you can rest assured. Leave this matter to me. I will get it done tomorrow morning. And I believe in you. Although Lin Yi said that he believed in the guy, he wasn't very sure whether the guy had the ability to find out the news of his lost car. The guy ran out of the room happily and went to activate his network to inquire about the news. Lin Yi only wanted the news of the car's whereabouts, not to find the car. This wasn't too difficult for the guy. Chapter 2304. It's a bit of a memento. When I sent Xiao Xiao to the Ice Palace, I drove this car. It's the last place we spent time together, Lin Yi said emotionally. The meaning of the car is greater than its value. I see, Sun Jingyi nodded in understanding. I'm just trying to stay here for a night. If there's still no news tomorrow, then forget it, Lin Yi comforted himself. Okay. Sun Jingyi could tell what Lin Yi was thinking. But what surprised Lin Yi was that the next morning, the local driver came running back. Bro, there's news, there's news. The local driver said excitedly. There's news? Lin Yi paused. This local driver was a genius. Where's the car? It's no longer in the border town. The person who stole the car is a local thief gang. The person who committed the crime is called Niao San. He only stole the car because your car has a foreign license plate and it has been parked behind this inn for a long time without anyone driving it, so he took it away. The local driver said, then he sold it for 100,000 to a drug organization called Red Conscious. I heard that they've driven it to the neighboring Qingrun city to transport drugs. Qingrun city? Red Conscious? Lin Yi's eyes narrowed as he smiled coldly. Red Conscious again? Lin Yi had wanted to do something to them back in Ruluida, but something happened that forced Lin Yi to leave Ruluida. What he didn't expect was that on the first day he came back, the car was stolen by Red Conscious. These guys were really good. If Lin Yi didn't go after them, then he'd be letting them down for stealing the car. Lin Yi had a special hatred for the Red Conches, not because they went against Tianlong and kidnapped Xiao Xiao, but because of Armadillo. This was something Lin Yi couldn't let go of. The people and forces involved in Armadillo's persecution were all taken out by Lin Yi one by one, like the common house you. Even if there was a hidden house you behind them, Lin Yi still wiped them out easily. And now, although the Red Conches was only a branch force in the country and had connections with the Fire Wolf gang and the Tagan family, whether it was the Fire Wolf gang or the Tagan family, which one of them hadn't been turned upside down by Lin Yi? Since they had bumped into each other this time, Lin Yi naturally had no reason to let them go. However, what Lin Yi didn't expect was that Qingrun City was near the border town. Yes, it's the nearby Qingrun City. That's the headquarters of the Red Conches. Dong Fong Tong nodded. Bro, your car's license plate is a little special and they seem to recognize it. They didn't even bargain for 100,000 and just bought it. But it'll be troublesome to get the car back after it's gone there. Special? Of course it was special. Lin Yi's car was given to him by Tianlong, and the license plate belonged to the Supernatural Investigation Department. They were the enemies of the Red Conches. How could they not recognize this car? Using this kind of car to transport drugs was obviously the best. I understand, thanks for the information. I won't look for the car anymore. Give me your account number, I'll transfer 200,000 to you. Lin Yi and Dong Fong Tong naturally said that they wouldn't look for the car, but Lin Yi himself wouldn't let the Red Conches go so easily. Dong Fong Tong nodded. He knew that the car left and went to the headquarters of the Red Conches. Even if Lin Yi was a Golden Division adventurer, he definitely wouldn't go deep into the Tiger's Den. One had to know that the Red Conches organization had an Earth Division peak late phase master. Lin Yi was just a small Golden Division, going there was no different from suicide. Although I got some information, it might not be of much use to you. Just give me 50,000. It's not easy for me to get 200,000. Dong Fong Tong was very trustworthy when doing business. This was also the reason why he relied on this business to survive for so long. There were many repeat customers and it wasn't a one-time deal. Haha, then 100,000 it is. Lin Yi didn't insist on giving 200,000 because he was afraid that Dong Fong Tong would be suspicious. Thank you, bro. Let me treat you to breakfast? Dong Fong Tong was very happy to earn some money. It's okay, we should go back now, Lin Yi said. Alright, next time then. Dong Fong Tong didn't force the issue. After Lin Yi transferred the money to Dong Fong Tong, he left the inn with Sun Jingyi and took a long-distance bus out of the border town. Lin Yi didn't call for a car at the border town. This would easily raise the suspicion of the local forces in the Red Conches. Although Dong Fong Tong wouldn't betray them, who knew if the Red Conches had spies on this matter? Lin Yi's goal this time was to uproot the local forces in the Red Conches. He wouldn't give them any time to prepare or breathe. You've decided to touch the Red Conches? After getting off the bus, the two of them went to take a short train. In the waiting room, Sun Jingyi didn't understand. Yes. Lin Yi nodded. It's not for the car. It's for a friend, a dead friend. Oh. Sun Jingyi paused. Seeing Lin Yi's sad face, she was a little curious, but she didn't want to touch on Lin Yi's sad past. She hesitated and didn't ask. Curious, aren't you? Lin Yi said with a sigh as he looked at Jingyi. No. If something happens to me in Qintian, you'll still stand up for us. Sun Jingyi said. After we get to Qingrun City, find a hotel to stay in and pretend that you didn't contact me. I'll do the rest alone. Lin Yi said. Qingrun was a bigger city, and while it was the headquarters of the Red Conches, they didn't dare do anything illegal in the open. Jingyi's hotel was safe for the time being. After Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi took the train to Qingrun City, Lin Yi got into a taxi and went to a hotel with Sun Jingyi. Since it's boring, I'll contact Qintian and the others. We're safe now anyway. I'll go do something and come find you after I'm done. Lin Yi said. But don't worry, it should be fine. It'll be much easier than Rue Leda. Why don't you bring the sky net and 1,000 silk mask? Sun Jingyi said. I don't need them here. Chapter 2305. Lin Yi wasn't 100% sure that he could uproot the Red Conches. After all, this was just a branch in the country. Before Lin Yi started a full-scale war with the Red Conches, it was better not to reveal his identity, lest he attracted some unnecessary trouble. After leaving the hotel, Lin Yi put on the 1,000 silk mask in a place where there was no one around. The 1,000 silk mask transformed into a different appearance for everyone who wore it, but it couldn't be changed according to his own thoughts. In other words, everyone would become a specific appearance after wearing it. The Lin Yi who wore the mask was completely different from before. The previous Lin Yi was harmless and had a sunny appearance. But now Linny was a cold god. He didn't look easy to provoke like someone from the underworld. Linny stopped the taxi and went straight to the conch bar. This was the stronghold of the Red Conches. However, from the outside the conch bar looked like a relatively large bar. The entrance of the bar was full of luxury cars. People came and went, bustling and lively. It didn't look like a problematic bar at all. Linny came here to find out, so the role that Linny played today was a young man who had failed at work and came here to drink and have fun. Although he looked very cold, if Linny showed a melancholic expression, it wouldn't be so eye-catching. Since Linny came alone and didn't drive, no one paid attention to him when he entered the bar. He found the most remote table and sat down. A waiter came over and asked Linny what he wanted to drink. A friend introduced me here. What are the specialties? Linny took the menu and asked casually after a few glances. Rainbow whiskey, our bar's signature liquor. It's sweet but not intoxicating and has a delicate taste. You can try it, sir. The waiter recommended. Okay, 1 cup, a fruit platter and a fruit platter. Linny returned the menu to the waiter. Okay, sir. It's a total of 362 yuan. I'll charge you 360 yuan. Bill first. The waiter noted down what Linny wanted. Linny casually took out 400 yuan bills from his wallet and handed them to the waiter. The rest is your tip. Keep the change. Oh, thank you. The waiter was stunned and quickly took the money. He saw that Linny didn't look like a rich man. He looked travel-worn and a little depressed. He didn't expect that Linny would tip him. Thinking of this, he couldn't help but feel a little regretful. The drinks he recommended were too cheap. It seemed that the person in front of him was not short of money. However, since he had already ordered, the waiter could only wait for the opportunity to recommend those items with a high commission. When the items that Linny wanted were served, the waiter retreated to the side and stared at Linny from time to time. Linny was a cautious person. Naturally, it was easy for him to see through the waiter's thoughts. He smiled slightly in his heart. I was just worried that I couldn't find someone to investigate. This waiter sent himself to the door. It was really a case of being sleepy and bumping into a pillow. Pretending to drink the rainbow whiskey in front of him, Linny casually ate a few mouthfuls of nuts, then reached out his hand and called out to the waiter, Waiter? Sir, what can I do for you? The waiter ran over with a smile on his face. He clearly saw the thick stack of bills in Linny's wallet. This liquor is not strong. Do you have something more exciting? Linny's words were very skillful. He used excitement instead of a better liquor. This gave others room to imagine. This conch bar was the stronghold of the Red Conches. Linny didn't believe that there was no drug trafficking here. It was impossible for these waiters not to know the inside story. Of course, for ordinary customers, these people probably wouldn't promote drugs. After all, the risk was too high. However, it was different for rich customers. These people were likely to become repeat customers. At that time, waiting for the waiter would be a high commission. Sure enough, after Linny finished speaking, the waiter's face changed slightly. He whispered, There are ecstasy pills. Sir, do you want to have a good time? Ecstasy pills. It's not interesting. Linny expressed his lack of interest. Forget it. This isn't Raylight Town. It's impossible to buy wheat flour here. Give me some ecstasy pills. Linny deliberately played hard to get. He was interested in this waiter's greed. When he saw the money in his wallet, Linny wasn't afraid that he wouldn't take the bait. Raylight Town? The waiter naturally knew this place. This place wasn't far from the border town. Especially for someone like him who had been a waiter for a few years, he knew a lot about the inside story of the conch bar. Wheat flour was sold, but it was only sold to rich regular customers. Moreover, some of them were sold in bulk. There were fewer individual customers. Raylight Town was under the influence of the Red Conches. It was naturally normal to sell wheat flour. If this customer in front of him had stayed there before, then it could be explained. Thinking of this, the waiter gritted his teeth. He made a decision to test Linny. If Linny was really a rich customer, then it wasn't impossible to do business with him. After all, looking at the few people around him who used to be waiters, they had now become the backbone of the drug trade. They were earning a lot of money every month, so the waiters were very envious. Linny tipped the waiter another 400 kwai after getting him 2 ecstasy pills, making the waiter even more happy than before. He was getting a little dizzy from all the money he just received. Linny took the ecstasy pill and threw it into his mouth. Of course, Linny's hand speed was already very fast. He also had a master who was a master thief. It was easy for him to fool the waiter and make it look like he had swallowed ecstasy. Seeing Linny eat 2 pills together, the waiter was a little surprised. Although ecstasy wasn't a very strong drug, it was easy to have problems if one took too much of it. Unless one was an old smoker who had immunity to this kind of thing, he naturally wouldn't be afraid. It seemed that Lin Yi was the legendary old smoker. Because the waiter found that after he swallowed ecstasy, he seemed to be fine. This made him even more certain that Lin Yi must be a high-level drug addict. It's not strong. When I ate this a few years ago it felt quite good. Now when I eat it there's no feeling. Lin Yi shook his head and said with a very regretful look, it's about the same as jelly beans. It's not exciting. Hey, bro, actually if you want something more exciting we have it here. The waiter hesitated and said in a low voice. Chapter 2306. Hey bro, you're right. I can guarantee you that the goods here are the purest you've ever seen. As for the price, the retail price is definitely more expensive than the wholesale price, but I can guarantee that the price you get here is also the lowest in the country. The waiter had worked in the conch bar for many years. He was also a peripheral member of the Red Conch, so he naturally knew some secrets. The Red Conch was one of the largest international drug trafficking organizations. Moreover, the conch bar was a stronghold for the wholesale drug trade. Many foreign merchants came here to pick up their goods, so the waiter dared to boast. Oh, give me some to try. Lin Yi expressed his interest in the waiter's words. Sir, if you are interested, please follow me to the private room. After all, this is a public place. The waiter reminded carefully. Okay, let's go. Lin Yi nodded. The waiter happily led Lin Yi to a small single private room. People who came to the bar to have fun were just looking for the liveliness. Very few people would order a private room. They would either sit in the hall, by the bar, or on the dance floor. Therefore, the purpose of the private room was very simple. Other than renting a room for young men and women who were out of control, it was also for customers who came here to take drugs or trade drugs. This waiter's nickname was Hammer. He had worked here for nearly 5 years from a waiter to a peripheral member of the Red Conch. Of course, he didn't have any achievements. Other than the waiter's salary and commission, he basically didn't have any other income. Seeing that someone who entered the industry after him had become the contact of many drug lords, Hammer was very jealous. However, his fate wasn't very good. Most of the customers he met were individual customers like Lin Yi. No matter how rich he was, he couldn't earn much. But relatively speaking, he was already very satisfied to meet a rich customer like Lin Yi. After all, it wasn't common to meet big drug lords who came here to do wholesale drugs. After entering the private room, Lin Yi roughly looked around. The private room was very small. There was only a sofa and a coffee table. There was nothing else. The decorations weren't very luxurious either. It was indeed a place for young men and women to vent and take drugs. Sir, how many? Hammer asked directly after entering the room. What's the price? Asked Lin Yi. 500 a gram, Hammer said. 500? It's not that expensive. Although Lin Yi was not a drug addict, because of the pangolin incident he paid special attention to the red conches and the drug dealers, especially when Bald Wolf and Audi were trading. Lin Yi did a rough calculation. Their trading price had basically reached $3 to $4 per gram, while the red conches were selling for $500 per gram. That was about $80. The retail price was really not that high. Speaking of which, Bald Wolf did a lot of transactions, and the retail price could be as high as $200 to $300. Of course, I've already said that our prices are very advantageous here. Hammer let out a sigh of relief after hearing Lin Yi's words. Give me 5 grams first. Lin Yi took out $3,000 from his wallet and handed it to Hammer. Then he said, take the rest as a tip. Thank you, thank you. Chuizi took the money and went to prepare happily. Not to mention the commission of the 5 grams of wheat flour, just the 500 yuan tip was enough to make Chuizi very happy. Soon Hammer came back and gave Lin Yi 5 small self-sealing bags and a set of tools for sucking wheat flour. Then he smiled strangely. Sir, please enjoy. There is a pager here. You can call me at any time. My name is Hammer. Okay, go ahead. Lin Yi pretended to be impatient and waved his hand, indicating that Hammer could leave. After leaving, Lin Yi pretended to start taking drugs. Of course, it was impossible for Lin Yi to really take this thing. Lin Yi was not a fool. Although cultivators could use their true qi to expel the poison, if Lin Yi really inhaled it, wouldn't that be asking for trouble? When he was on a mission in the primeval forest abroad, there were many drug addicts among the enemy's armed forces. Lin Yi had never eaten pork before, but he had seen pigs run. He followed suit and began to smoke. Of course, Lin Yi did it for the people in the surveillance room. He didn't know if the surveillance camera in the room was turned on, but even if Lin Yi found the camera, he had no intention of destroying it. Lin Yi pretended to make the other party lower their guard, and through Hammer he could get in touch with a heavyweight. In Lin Yi's view, Hammer's activity range was limited to the conch bar. This was only the Red Conch's stronghold, but it was definitely not the headquarters. Lin Yi was here to cause trouble. If he directly came and smashed the bar, then the people behind the scenes would have already received the news and hidden. Lin Yi was just a minion who smashed the bar and caught some small fries. It was impossible for him to hurt the Red Conch. Lin Yi seemed to be smoking, but in fact he was holding his breath and leisurely wasting $3,000. Lin Yi pressed the call button in the room, and not long after, Hammer ran in. "How is it, brother? The purity is good, right?" Hammer saw Lin Yi's relaxed expression, and in order to hold Lin Yi back and make him a repeat customer, his tone became more enthusiastic, and he directly started to call Lin Yi brother. "Oh, not bad." Lin Yi waved his hand and said, "Get me 2 drinks. I'm a little excited and I need some to calm myself down." "Okay, brother, please wait a moment." Cui Zi ran out of the room happily, coming back with 2 cups of fruit juice in no time at all, putting them in front of Lin Yi. "How much?" Lin Yi asked. "Hey brother, aren't you looking down on me by asking this? You tipped me so much, so this juice is on me." Hammer naturally wasn't going to let Lin Yi pay for 2 glasses of juice. It wasn't like he had much in the first place, so Hammer might as well pretend to be generous. "All right then, I won't argue with you. Sit down, have a drink with me?" Lin Yi pushed a glass of juice over to Hammer. "Sure." Hammer readily agreed. He wanted to find a chance to get closer to Lin Yi, and see if Lin Yi could buy more flour in one go. This was also why he was treating Lin Yi to the juice, and now that Lin Yi was inviting him, he naturally took the chance and sat down. "What's your name, brother?" "People call me Pao, but you can call me Gunslinger." Lin Yi was used to using Zhang Naipeo's name, so he repeated it. Chapter 2307. Not bad. At least in terms of purity there's no problem. Lin Yi nodded and said, "It's about the same as the goods I'm using. I won't hide it from you. My gang is also doing this business overseas. Your goods are about the same purity as the goods we've imported. It's hard to imagine that you can find goods of such high purity here." "That's right. I didn't cheat you, did I? I said that the purity is definitely high." Hammer was proud but also a little disappointed. So Lin Yi's gang overseas was also doing this? Didn't that mean that today's deal was a one-off deal? He was a little unwilling. However, just as Hammer was unwilling, Lin Yi spoke again. "But the price is cheap in terms of retail, but it's a little expensive to get the goods." "Gunslinger wants to get the goods?" Hammer was delighted and couldn't help but ask. "I do want to get the goods, but I definitely can't get them from you." Lin Yi deliberately loosened the reins. "Your price here is too high." "Oh? What's the price of the goods that Gunslinger got in the past?" Hammer quickly asked. "I used to get the goods from an overseas drug lord called Audi. It was about $4 or $5. Lin Yi said. "But this guy Audi suddenly disappeared and I couldn't get in touch with him. I had to look for a new source." "Did you find Gunslinger?" Hammer was ecstatic as he continued to ask. "Not yet. I heard that there's a source in Raylight Town, so I thought about going there to take a look. However, I'm not familiar with the place, so I couldn't find the source. I plan to go there again when I have time." Lin Yi pretended to be depressed. After listening to Lin Yi's words, Hammer wanted to laugh. This was a godsend opportunity. Before, he was still wondering how he could do business with Lin Yi for a long time. Now, wasn't it delivered to his doorstep? $4 or $5 was a very high price. Hammer knew that the people around him sometimes got the goods directly from the conch bar to the drug lords. They weren't responsible for sending the goods across the border, so the price was very low. Usually, they could do it for $2 or $3, and the bulk business that was sent across the border was only $3 or $4. The price that Lin Yi offered was quite tempting. "Gunslinger, if you're interested, I can talk to the boss. Although I don't know if it can be as low as $4, it shouldn't be a problem at $5. And if Gunslinger has a large quantity and has his own way to ship it, I can help you apply to see if it can be lower," Hammer said. "Oh? You're not fooling me, are you?" Lin Yi looked at Hammer with a little disbelief. "You're just a bar, a small retail store. How can you have so many goods? And you can do it at such a low price?" "Hehe, I won't hide it from Gunslinger. Actually, behind our boss is an international drug gang. If Gunslinger is really interested, I can bring you to meet the boss," Hammer said. Lin Yi looked at Hammer with some vigilance. He looked him up and down, but in the end he seemed to have made a decision. He gritted his teeth and said, "Okay, lead the way. Gunslinger, you won't lose out if you cooperate with us. Don't worry." Hammer was overjoyed. He hurriedly led Lin Yi out of the bar's private room. "This way, it's in the basement." Lin Yi nodded. Together with Hammer, they came to a staircase under a sign that said, staff passage, guests prohibited. Hammer pushed open the door and led Lin Yi downstairs. The first floor of the basement was really the staff passage. Lin Yi could see busy waiters bringing out plates of Western food and snacks. It seemed that the first floor of the basement was the kitchen. The second floor of the basement was a warehouse, where red wine and other things were stored. There were also waiters walking back and forth. Further down, the third floor of the basement was relatively empty. There was no one here. It seemed to be a waste room. There were some wine bottles, beverage bottles, and some food boxes. However, Chuizi continued to lead Lin Yi downwards, all the way to the fifth floor. This place was completely different from the previous 4 floors. There was a metal door at the entrance to the fifth floor, and in front of the door stood 2 men in black as if they were door gods. Both of them had cold and serious expressions. Their waists were bulging. It was obvious that they had guns on them. "What are you doing?" asked one of the door god. "I'm the waiter upstairs, Hammer. I have a big client who wants to see Brother Dafeng. Can you help me report it?" said Hammer. Door god A nodded. He scanned Lin Yi and said to Mun Shin, "You stay here and look after them. I'll go in and report to Brother Dafeng." "Okay." Mun Shin nodded. After door god A left, Hammer gave Lin Yi a reassuring look. "Don't worry, gunslinger. This time you will definitely get a satisfactory price." "Then? I hope so." Lin Yi was obviously still a little disbelieving of what happened in front of him. He didn't believe that Hammer could get goods at such a low price. Seeing Lin Yi's expression, Hammer didn't say much. When he went to the boss's office later, he would naturally see the boxes of wheat flour. When the goods were in front of him, he was not afraid that Lin Yi wouldn't believe him. After a while, door god A came out and said to Hammer, "Brother Dafeng is free now. You can go in, but you have to search them first." "No problem." Hammer gave Lin Yi a look and said, "Cooperate? This is a must." "Oh." Lin Yi nodded and agreed. Mun Shin came over and carefully searched Lin Yi's mind, but he didn't have any doubts about Lin Yi's inescapable net. He thought it was an ordinary small net. However, he frowned when he saw Lin Yi's box of silver needles. "What is this?" "It's for acupuncture." Lin Yi smiled. "Sometimes when I'm outside, my drug addiction acts up. I learned acupuncture from others. It can temporarily suppress the drug addiction." Mun Shin nodded, but he naturally didn't think that Lin Yi could use these silver needles as a weapon. He didn't doubt it and directly returned it to Lin Yi. "Okay, go in." Mun Shin said faintly. "Let's go, gunslinger." Hammer smiled and greeted Lin Yi. He walked into the 5th basement with Lin Yi. The 5th floor of the basement. Just the luxurious hallway alone was enough to make one's tongue drop. Lin Yi's expression, however, wasn't anything out of the ordinary. This was probably where the core members of Conch Bar worked. Normal people wouldn't be able to come here easily. Chapter 2308. He led Lin Yi all the way forward and finally came to the door of a room at the end of the corridor. Hammer said to Lin Yi, "Gunslinger, it's here. Our bar boss, Brother Dafeng's office." Lin Yi frowned slightly and said, "Okay, Brother Dafeng, right? I'll remember it." Hammer smiled slightly and knocked on the door. Soon, Brother Dafeng's steady and strong voice came from inside. "Please come in." Hammer pushed the door open and let Lin Yi go first. He followed Lin Yi into Brother Dafeng's office. However, as soon as he entered the door, Hammer was shocked. A pistol was pointed at Lin Yi's forehead. The owner of the pistol was Brother Dafeng's bodyguard, called Two Def. "Brother Dafeng, Brother Def, what do you mean by this?" Hammer looked at Brother Dafeng, who was sitting behind the desk, and asked hesitantly. Lin Yi, on the other hand, had a shocked expression. He seemed to be at a loss. However, Lin Yi was secretly speculating in his heart. What does this Brother Dafeng mean? Was he testing him, or did he give himself away in some way that caused him to act like this? Before entering Brother Dafeng's office, when Hammer knocked on the door, Lin Yi's jade pendant began to release warning signals. This was also the reason why Lin Yi frowned. The warning signal wasn't strong, but it showed that there was danger inside. In fact, dodging Two Def's gun and killing him with a backhand was a piece of cake, but Lin Yi didn't do that. He wasn't sure if Dafeng Bro was testing him or just suspecting him. "Boss Feng Yu, this doesn't seem to be the way to treat guests, right?" Lin Yi seemed to have just recovered from the shock. He looked shocked and angry, but his tone was a little uncertain. "Hammer, what the hell is going on? You guys aren't trying to cheat me, are you? But I'm not afraid to tell you that I only have this much money on me, and I'm just an errand boy in my gang. If you want to extort me, then you've got the wrong idea." "Gunslinger, calm down. Let me ask him first." Hammer quickly comforted Lin Yi and looked at Big Brother Feng with a bitter face. "Big Brother Feng Yu. Gunslinger is from an overseas gang. He's in charge of purchasing wheat flour. He's a big customer. Big client. A playful smile appeared on Big Brother Feng's face. He narrowed his eyes and looked at Lin Yi. He asked indifferently, "Tell me, who are you and what do you want to do here?" "What? Who am I? Doesn't Hammer know who I am?" Lin Yi frowned and said angrily, "Besides, I'm not here for anything. It was Hammer who brought me here. Do you think I can come here without him? Don't beat around the bush. My patience is limited." Big Brother Feng snorted and interrupted Lin Yi. He said indifferently, "Don't treat people as fools. Are you a member of an overseas gang? Are you here to buy drugs? What a coincidence. Do you think your luck is so good?" Big Brother Feng, a straightforward person, doesn't beat around the bush. "Forgive me for being blunt, but I don't understand what you mean. If you don't want to do business, then I won't force you. Even if business doesn't work out, there's still justice. But what do you mean by this nonsense?" Lin Yi said with some displeasure, "I came here to have fun. Hammer said that there's a cheap supply here, so I came to take a look. But you pointed a gun at me as soon as you came in. You don't welcome me, so you don't have to let me come." What a clever sophistry. But do you think I'll believe it? Big Brother Feng looked at Lin Yi mockingly and shook his head. "Forget it. Since you don't want to say it, Second Def, send him on his way. Since you're here, don't think about leaving." Click. When Lin Yi heard the sound of a bullet being loaded, he knew that this Big Brother Feng wasn't trying to scare him. He really wanted to kill him. Although Lin Yi didn't know what went wrong, he couldn't just sit and wait for death. He quickly stretched out his right hand and snatched the pistol from Second Def's hand. Then he slammed the butt of the gun on Second Def's forehead. Second Def screamed and fell to the ground. This. Hammer was at a loss when he saw the change in front of him. "Are you in a hurry to make a move?" Big Brother Feng's mouth slightly curled up as he said sarcastically. "Could it be that your people want to kill me and I can only sit and wait for death?" Lin Yi said with the last hope, "I don't know how I offended you, but since you don't want to do business, then I have nothing to say. Let's go our separate ways. I'll have to trouble Big Brother Feng to send me away." Hee hee. Big Brother Feng listened to Lin Yi's words, but he laughed as if he was watching a clown's performance. He asked with interest, "Are you done?" "What do you mean?" Lin Yi frowned. This Big Brother Feng seemed to be very sure that he wasn't a foreign gang member who came here to look for goods. "Are you wondering where you gave yourself away?" Big Brother Feng said faintly, "Actually, you did a good job from the beginning to the end. There were no flaws to speak of. Our security guards here also saw the scene of you sucking white flour. It can be said that your performance was impeccable. However, that's not your flaw. It's what you've said." "What I said?" Lin Yi asked. "What, you admit it?" Big Brother Feng sneered. "So what if I admit it? Don't think that just a few thugs with guns can scare me." Lin Yi crushed the pistol in his hand into an iron ball and threw it on the ground with a bang. Hee hee. Big Brother Feng laughed again and activated his internal energy. Suddenly, the strength of a peak late-phase mystic class was revealed. "You're a cultivator?" Lin Yi was slightly surprised. Lin Yi didn't see Big Brother Feng's strength before because in Lin Yi's opinion, he was just a bar boss. He shouldn't be a master. Even the second boss of Red Conch was not a master. And the bald wolf who traded drugs was not a master either. As a result, Lin Yi subconsciously thought that there weren't many masters in Red Conch. But what Lin Yi didn't expect was that the bar boss here was actually a peak late-phase mystic class master. Chapter 2309. Lin Yi didn't show his strength at all. He used his hand to turn the gun in Second Def's hand into a metal ball. He only relied on the strength of his wrist. Therefore, according to Brother Dafeng's deduction, Lin Yi should have the strength of a golden class. I underestimated you guys. To be honest, Lin Yi really didn't think that there would be a mystic class master in the Conch Bar. However, it was those sects and aristocratic families that created a misunderstanding for Lin Yi. He thought that the leaders were all martial arts masters. Since the big boss was captured by Feng Tianlong, then his strength wasn't very high. Lin Yi also knew that the second boss was captured by him. His strength wasn't high either. As for the Death Warrior, although he had some ability in Lin Yi's eyes, it was just SOSO. Therefore, Lin Yi walked into a misunderstanding and ignored the fact that the leader of a gang wasn't necessarily a cultivator. The hierarchy in a gang was different from those aristocratic families and sections. Their leader could be a masterful person or a wise and resourceful person. It was just like in the Fire Wolf gang, and Jianghu was a bastard. He only knew how to do bad things to earn money, but he could control a group of masters. This was the same logic. You finally admitted it? You aren't a merchant, right? Brother Dafeng looked like he had a winning ticket in his hand. Tell me, why are you here? Who ordered you to do this? You can say it, but I want to know, how did you find out that I wasn't a merchant who came to buy drugs? Lin Yi was curious about this question. Because Lin Yi recalled the entire process of him coming to Conch Bar. From the fishing to the ingestion of ecstasy and white flour, everything was very similar. There were no flaws at all. Also, Adi, who he traded with, was taken away by Feng Tianlong, and Bald Wolf, who was close to him, was captured as well. There was no evidence. Even if Dafeng Bro investigated, he wouldn't be able to find anything wrong with Adi. So Yang Ming was very confused. Actually, you made a mistake. It's not a big one, but it's not a small one either. Big Brother Feng didn't hide it, which satisfied Lin Yi's curiosity. Ruilei town is also one of the biggest strongholds of the Red Conches. It's even bigger than Qingrun City. How could you not find a supply there? What do you mean? Lin Yi frowned. In Ronaldo town you can go to any bar or nightclub or even an inn or a restaurant. You can just say that you want wheat flour and someone will sell it to you. Do you think you can't find a source? Dafeng Bro looked at him mockingly. That's a small town outside the borders that the three families don't care about, and it's completely controlled by the two gangs and three families. If you wanted to get wheat from there, just say the word and someone would bring you to Red Conch's headquarters. Why come here? So that's how it is. Lin Yi let out a long sigh of relief. It seemed that the saying even a wise man might make a mistake was true. Lin Yi never thought of this situation before. Indeed, as Brother Dafeng said, with the situation in Ruilei town, buying wheat flour was just a matter of saying the word. Why bother coming here? Okay, I'm done. You can tell me where you came from and I'll let you die a quick death, Brother Dafeng said. Die? I never thought about it. Lin Yi waved his hand and knocked Hammer unconscious. Although Lin Yi didn't like the people of the Red Conches, it was Hammer who lured him here. Lin Yi didn't want to kill him, so he only knocked him unconscious. You dare to make a move here? Brother Dafeng looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Nonsense, if I didn't dare to make a move, I wouldn't have asked Hammer to bring me here. Lin Yi looked at Brother Dafeng like he was an idiot. Although you're smart and saw through my identity, I can't let you go just because you're smart. I hate people like you who seem smarter than me the most. Brother Dafeng's eyes widened. He didn't understand why this kid was still so arrogant after he showed his strength. Was he not afraid of him? No, he was a master at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class. In the mortal world, he was someone who could do whatever he wanted. Actually, my goal was to get Chue to bring me here. Since I'm already here, it doesn't matter if you don't see through me or not. At most, it'll save me a lot of energy and you'll willingly bring me to your boss. This way, I'll have to put in a bit of effort and force you to willingly bring me to your boss. The results are pretty much the same. Lin Yi said with a shrug. Do you know what it means to be at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class? Dafeng Bro had never been looked down upon like this since his debut. Even the head of the common house Yu Shuixing would respectfully call him Brother Dafeng. But Shuixing was a master at the peak of the late phase of the mystic class just like him. A little, Lin Yi said. You know, and you still dare to say that? You're a newborn calf, aren't you? Do you know that even the head of the common house Yu Shuixing calls me Brother Dafeng when he sees me? Dafeng Bro felt that he could kill Lin Yi in a second, but the feeling of being looked down upon by Lin Yi wasn't a good one. Before he killed Lin Yi, he had to let Lin Yi know how high up he was. Oh, so you're brothers with that old thing Shuixing? You guys have a good relationship? Lin Yi asked. Of course. Don't change the subject. Dafeng Bro glared at Lin Yi. I'm just telling you the difference between mystic and golden class. Since you're brothers with Shuixing, then don't worry. You'll be with him soon, and I'm sure he'll be happy to see you go to him. Lin Yi said with a smile on his face, but his heart was filled with murderous intent. If this person was with Shuixing, then he was definitely up to no good. Armadillo's death was most likely related to him, and so in Lin Yi's mind, Dafeng Bro was already a dead man. Who are you? Dafeng Bro's eyes froze. Naturally, he understood what Lin Yi was hinting at. Shuixing was already dead and this was something he knew. How did this young man know about the destruction of the common house Yu? Could it be related to him? The enemy of your red conches. Lin Yi said. Chapter 23:10. He jumped up from his office chair and threw a punch at Lin Yi. He did not care who Lin Yi was or what his purpose was. He had to die. Too many people had died under his fist. It was impossible for Brother Dafeng to ask everyone's identity and purpose. Bang! There was a loud noise, followed by a blood-curdling scream of, "Ah!" The person who screamed was naturally not Lin Yi but Brother Dafeng. At this moment, Brother Dafeng's fist was about to hit Lin Yi's chest, but he suddenly felt a sharp pain in his lower abdomen. Then his body inexplicably flew backward. It was as if the scene of him jumping out of the office chair was replayed, and he sat down on the office chair again. It was just that he fell with great force. With a plop, the powerful recoil blew up the operating lever of the office chair. The exploding operating lever directly burst Brother Dafeng's butt. Ouch! Brother Dafeng screamed again and knelt on the ground, tears coming out of his eyes. Lin was a little speechless. He thought to himself that Brother Dafeng was really unlucky. He just wanted to kick him back so that he would cooperate with him. He did not expect the operating lever of the swivel chair to explode, bursting his butt. "You, what kind of expert are you?" Brother Dafeng asked as he looked at Lin Yi in horror while covering his lower abdomen with one hand and his butt with the other. At this moment, even if he was an idiot, he understood that Lin Yi was stronger than him. Otherwise, he would not have been able to send him flying with a kick. However, he did not know how much stronger Lin Yi was than him. Lin Yi did not answer his question. Instead, he asked, "Where is the headquarters of the Red Conches? Just kill me. Don't even think about getting anything out of me." Brother Dafeng knew that he could not shake Lin Yi's strength, so he did not resist. Even if his strength was one level higher, it was still high. Especially when he was injured, he was no match for Lin Yi. Betraying the Red Conches would become an extremely terrifying nightmare. Brother Dafeng felt terrified just thinking about it. It was simply unimaginable. "Really?" Lin Yi's eyes turned cold. "I don't have a good impression of you Red Conches, so don't blame me for being cruel. I rarely use such cruel methods, but you guys are an exception." Lin Yi's words made Big Brother Dafeng shudder. He knew that Lin Yi would probably torture him to get the information he wanted. However, when he thought of the consequences of betraying the Red Conch, Big Brother Dafeng gritted his teeth and snorted. "Kill me if you want. If you want to get anything from me, don't bother. Oh, I hope you can still be so stubborn later. Don't regret it." Lin Yi did not say much. His right hand moved slightly, and a few silver needles slid into his hand. Then he casually raised his hand, and all the silver needles were inserted into Big Brother Dafeng's body. Although Big Brother Dafeng was a mystic stage master and had chi protection, he was injured now. Moreover, he was prepared to die, so he did not use any chi protection. In his opinion, Lin Yi's level was higher than his. Even if he used chi protection, Lin Yi could easily break his chi protection. Moreover, instead of using chi protection, it was better to not defend and let Lin Yi kill him. However, he did not expect that Lin Yi did not intend to kill him at all. If he had chi protection, then it would be very difficult for Lin Yi's silver needles to insert into his body. However, he did not use chi protection, which made it easy for Lin Yi. Although he did not know what Lin Yi wanted to do, it was nothing more than torture him. Big Brother Dafeng closed his mouth tightly and did not say a word. He wanted to let himself be busy there. However, in the next moment he realized that something was wrong because what happened next made him want to die. Ouch! Big Brother Dafeng suddenly let out a shrill scream from his tightly clenched teeth. Then he rolled on the ground. He felt like there were countless ants biting his skin, and his hands could not move. He could not stop the itch. He could only roll back and forth on the ground to relieve the pain. The office table, chairs, vases, magazine shelves, and other things were all knocked over by Big Brother Dafeng's rolling body. This feeling made him want to die. What is this situation? Did Lin Yi poison me? Was there poison on the silver needles? Thinking of this, Big Brother Dafeng wanted to roll the silver needles off his body. However, he did succeed. The silver needles rolled down, but the pain on his body did not lessen at all. At this point, Big Brother Dafeng finally understood what it meant to not regret it. At this moment he was living a life worse than death. He rolled back and forth on the ground, but it did not have much effect. He wailed and screamed in pain, "You're too noisy." Lin Yi frowned. With a wave of his hand, another silver needle flew out and inserted into Big Brother Dafeng's mute acupoint, making him unable to make a sound. Even though he was in pain, he could only make a hee-hee sound. Sealing acupoints was a technique that Lin Yi's master had taught him. He could use silver needles or fingers. However, this technique could bring great pain to the enemy. Lin Yi rarely used it. He would only try it on people who hated him. At this moment, Big Brother Dafeng's heart was filled with fear. Not to mention the physical pain, the psychological pain at this moment made him even more shocked. Not only was he extremely uncomfortable, but he could not make any sound. Who is this person in front of me? How can he have such a technique? He said that he was the enemy of the Red Conches, but the Red Conches did not have any enemies at all. On the surface, the Red Conches and the Fire Wolf gang were incompatible, but that was all on the surface. A small leader like Big Brother Dofeng knew the truth. The Red Conches and the Fire Wolf gang were actually of the same origin. They were both forces established by the same behind-the-scenes boss. Could he be from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau? Big Brother Dofeng could only think of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau as an enemy of the Red Conches. However, when did the Supernatural Investigation Bureau have such a ruthless person? Could it be that the gang's intelligence system was too weak? But no matter what, at least Big Brother Dofeng felt that death was better than life. He wanted Lin Yi to kill him, he wanted to end his own life, but he couldn't move his hands and he couldn't even open his mouth to speak. He couldn't die even if he wanted to, he couldn't. He really wanted to die. Lin Yi said that he hoped he would not regret it, but at this moment he really regretted it. It was so painful. He wanted to die. Chapter 23:11. How about it? Do you want to continue or cooperate with me? Answer whatever I ask? Lin Yi asked faintly. I'll answer. Let me go first, I beg you. It's too painful. The man in the center screamed in pain. Okay, but if you don't cooperate, then I can only give you something more ruthless. Lin Yi said as he raised his right hand again. A few silver needles shot out and Big Brother Feng returned to normal. Phew. Big Brother Feng let out a long sigh. Lin Yi's method almost killed him. At this time he felt indescribably relaxed from head to toe. He felt like he was hovering between life and death. When he wiped his forehead, it was already covered in sweat. The hellish torture made him tremble in fear and he hated Lin Yi to the core. When he saw that Lin Yi didn't stop him from wiping his sweat after unsealing his acupuncture point, he immediately came up with a plan. He wanted to take advantage of the moment when Lin Yi let his guard down to commit suicide. As soon as this bold idea came out, Big Brother Feng immediately put it into action. He suddenly pulled out a delicate small pistol from his body and shot at his temple. Bang! The familiar gunshot didn't come, but there was a loud bang. It was Lin Yi stepping on Big Brother Feng's right hand. Big Brother Feng's right palm and the pistol in his hand were trampled into pieces by Lin Yi. It seems that you haven't had enough? How about it? Again? Lin Yi looked at Big Brother Feng coldly, raised his foot and asked. Big Brother Feng looked at his palm that had turned into a pile of flesh and blood. He wanted to cry but no tears came out. The pain in his heart was far more intense than the pain in his hand. He was a master at the peak of the late phase of the Mystic Division. In theory, the speed at which he drew the gun was fast enough, but Lin Yi was still one step ahead of him. This made Big Brother Feng feel a deep sense of defeat. Lost, completely lost. Big Brother Feng sighed. The person in front of him wasn't someone he could fight or play tricks on. If he didn't want to suffer, he could only cooperate with Lin Yi. Otherwise, the pain might repeat itself. What do you want to know? I will cooperate with you. Big Brother Feng said, but after you get what you want to know, please kill me. Lin Yi was slightly stunned. This Big Brother Feng was really interesting. Others wanted to live after cooperating, but he wanted to die after cooperating. It was really magical. Even if I say this, the Red Conch won't let me go, so you can just kill me. Big Brother Feng saw Lin Yi's expression and knew what he was thinking, so he explained. What are you in charge of in the Red Conches? How many people are there in the Red Conch headquarters in Qingrun City? Besides you, how many people are there? Lin Yi asked in one breath. You can see what I'm in charge of in the Red Conches. It's this bar. I'm in charge of receiving some merchants who come here to pick up goods. In fact, I'm a relatively big drug lord. Big Brother Feng said honestly, as for how many people there are in the Red Conches, it's hard to estimate. There are core members and peripheral members. As you can see, Hammer is a peripheral member. I haven't calculated this data. As for the others, although I'm considered a core figure in the Red Conches, I really don't know how many people there are. You really don't know? Lin Yi frowned. He looked straight at Big Brother Feng and asked, if you said something else, I would believe it. But do you believe that you don't know how many people there are? You are a person yourself and a strong one at that. Why don't you spar with other people in the gang? Well, actually, the third boss of our Red Conches branch in Qingrun City is also a person. Big Brother Feng said helplessly, if I reveal this, I will definitely be severely punished. But since I'm going to die either way, I might as well tell you. What strength? Lin Yi was slightly startled. He didn't expect the third boss of the Red Conches to be a person. He didn't know this before. Peak late phase Earth class. Big Brother Feng said, if you want to find trouble with him, I advise you to forget about it. Although your strength is higher than mine, it's probably early or mid-phase Earth class. It won't be too high. You're not a match for the third boss. The third boss is actually a peak late phase Earth class master? Lin Yi frowned. He didn't expect the third boss to be this strong. It seemed like the Red Conches had been hiding and didn't reveal their true strength. But thinking about it, the Red Conches and the Fire Wolf gang were of the same lineage. It was reasonable for them to have a peak late-phase Earth-class master. What about the others? Linny asked. There are 2 other Mystic-class late-phase peak like me, one is an Earth-class early-phase and the third in charge is a Sky-class, but he's not here. Since Dafeng Bro had already chosen to say it, he wouldn't hold back anymore and said it all in one breath. Very well, take me to the headquarters of the Red Conches. Just say that I'm here to do business. But don't try to play any tricks or else I'll make you feel as good as before. Linny said. No, you should just kill me. If I don't die after I go, then it'll be troublesome. Big Brother Feng shook his head and rejected Lin Yi's suggestion. You promised me that you'd give me a quick death after I tell you all this. Linny frowned. You might not die if you go with me. Are you that confident in the third boss that I'm not his match? He's a peak late-phase Earth-class master. Unless you're a Sky-class master, you won't be his match. Big Brother Feng shook his head with a determined look. Isn't that better? Kill me and you say that you're being coerced. Isn't it still up to you to say whatever you want? Linny looked at Big Brother Feng strangely. At most I'll just die. Can it be more painful than before? More painful. I don't know if it's painful or not, but the people who betrayed the Red Conches all ended up in a miserable state. They were all dragged to the captives to make drugs. Big Brother Feng shook his head. I've seen those traitors and captives. It's a life worse than death. Chapter 23:12. Of course it's true. Dafeng Bro told him everything he knew, but he was surprised by Lin Yi's reaction. Why are you so excited? Have you seen the prisoners and traitors who make drugs? Lin Yi took a deep breath, calmed himself down and asked, how did those prisoners come about? The people who go against Red Conches are some rival gangs, mercenary organizations and people like you. Of course you're so powerful, it's impossible for you to be captured. I'm just giving you an example. Dafeng Bro said. You've seen those prisoners? Where are they? Why do you say they're better off dead? Lin Yi was excited. Pangolin. Maybe he wasn't dead. If Huaijuan hadn't seen his body back then he would have been captured by the Red Conches. Dafeng Bro's words made it seem more likely, since they needed someone to make drugs for them. Those prisoners were originally in a secret base near the Golden Triangle, but I heard that they were attacked and moved away. I don't know where they are now. This is Red Conch's secret. I don't think even the third head of the Conches knows, Dafeng Bro said. Then how do you know? Lin Yi frowned as if he wanted to see if Dafeng Bro was lying. I used to be in charge of these people. Dafeng Bro said, but he was sent here later. It was considered a promotion, but he couldn't touch the process of making drugs. So that's the case. Then why do you say they're better off dead? Lin Yi was more concerned about this question. They are like a group of puppets who only know how to work. Big Brother Feng said, I don't know if they have thoughts because they don't know how to communicate. All they do is refine drugs. I'm afraid that if I betray Red Conch, I will become like that. That would be worse than death. So, you might as well just kill me. I don't want to become that kind of biohuman that is neither human nor ghost. Big Brother Feng said, I don't know if they have thoughts because they don't know how to communicate. All they do is refine drugs. I'm afraid that if I betray Red Conch, I will become like that. Biohuman. Lin Yi took a deep breath after listening to Brother Feng's words. Those captives and traitors were all transformed into biohumans? You only know how to refine drugs and have no thoughts. This news made Lin Yi's heart ache again. If the pangolin was still alive, he must have been transformed into a biohuman by now. Then, could he still return to normal? However, Lin Yi knew that he couldn't let his emotions affect the important matters at this moment. Lin Yi took out his mobile phone from his pocket and took out a photo. Then he enlarged it until there was only one person in the photo. He raised the photo in front of Big Brother Feng and asked, since you were in charge of the poison refining base, take a look. Is this person among those biohumans? The photo in Lin Yi's hand was of the pangolin. He had shown it to Ziyu before, but Lin Yi left it out this time. This. Big Brother Feng looked at the photo on Lin Yi's phone and shook his head in confusion. You know that there were thousands of biohumans in the poison refining base. How could I go and see every single one of them? I was only in charge of preventing enemies from invading this place. I didn't have the time to look at people. Lin Yi nodded. Big Brother Feng was right. With his situation at that time, he really couldn't pay attention to what those biohumans looked like. Did you hear where the poison refining base went? Lin Yi asked. I really don't know. After I was transferred away, there was no need to ask about it. I'm doing well here and I don't want to go back at all, Big Brother Feng said. Big Brother Feng was telling the truth. This place was filled with debauchery and the poison refining base was boring. Who would want to go back? Take me to your third head in charge. Lenny said. When we get there I'll give you a quick death. Or you can trust me and bet the treasure on me. I'll take you away after I kill the third head and the others, but you'll be my follower from now on. You'll be in charge of helping me find that poison refinery. Yes. Big Brother Feng was shocked after hearing Lin Yi's words. He didn't expect Lin Yi to say that. Chapter 23:13. Sun Jingyi knew that she was out to do something. If there was no special situation she wouldn't call casually. Lin Yi, I was eating in the hotel's cafeteria when I saw a couple of gangsters put something in my drink. They were sitting in front of me and they were up to no good. I didn't dare stay there and went to the washroom before finishing my meal. Jingyi said urgently. What? Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't expect the punks here to be so rampant. They actually dared to put something in Sun Jingyi in the hotel restaurant. What was their purpose? Were they coveting Sun Jingyi's beauty? They wanted to drug her or kidnap her. Wait for me. I'll go back immediately. Don't come out of the bathroom. Lin Yi said immediately. Okay. What are you doing? Why did you come in? On the other side of the phone, Sun Jingyi's shocked and angry voice suddenly came. Then the phone seemed to be taken away by someone. Pa, there was no more movement. Jingyi? Lin Yi was shocked, and the other party's arrogance was beyond Lin Yi's expectation. They failed to drug her and they actually ran to the bathroom to snatch her. What's wrong? What happened? Brother Dafeng asked quickly after hearing Lin Yi's words. My friend was in the hotel. She was drugged. She ran to the bathroom and those punks also rushed in. Lin Yi said briefly. What hotel? Brother Dafeng asked. What hotel? Lin Yi frowned. He really didn't remember it. He just asked the taxi driver to recommend a luxurious large hotel. Lin Yi only remembered the address but he didn't remember the name. It's at Yuluo Road 1. What hotel is it? Ugh, it's on the way. We're going there too. Brother Dafeng said with a bitter smile. It's the Fire Wolf Hotel, one of the largest luxury hotels in the city. It's also the headquarters of the Red Conch in Qingrun City. Fire Wolf Hotel? Lin Yi was stunned. He didn't expect the hotel to have such a name. He subconsciously asked, is this the property of the Fire Wolf Gang? You know about the Fire Wolf Gang? Big Brother Feng was also surprised. I know. Aren't you and the Fire Wolf Gang from the same family? Lin Yi said, but you actually set up your headquarters together? Those who are able to come into contact with the third head above me usually know this secret. Big Brother Feng said, if your female companion lives in the Fire Wolf Hotel, it's not surprising that she was taken away. Their target is a foreign woman who lives alone in the Fire Wolf Hotel. Your female companion must be very beautiful, right? Otherwise they wouldn't have acted so impatiently. Why? You know about it? Lin Yi could tell from Dafeng's tone that he knew about Sun Jingyi's kidnapping. It's still related to the poison refining base. Big Brother Feng smiled bitterly. The poison refining base is located in a remote area and is closed all year round. Although the people working there are all cyborgs, the management is all normal people such as me. There are no erotic places there. If there is a physiological need, they will naturally capture some girls. However, there are often girls who can't take it and commit suicide, so every once in a while they will replenish a batch of girls. You mean they captured my female companion to send her to the poison refining base? Lin Yi frowned and his face was a little gloomy. However, you don't have to worry. There won't be any danger for the time being. This is because we need to capture at least 10 people at a time. A martial master will come and take them away. Right now, your female companion must be locked in a room in the hotel. Brother Feng explained. Those hooligans won't harm her? After listening to Big Brother Feng's words, Lin Yi was relieved and asked. No, there are high-level leaders there. Why would they let hooligans take the lead? Wouldn't it be disgusting to send her there after they are tired of playing with her? When Big Brother Feng said this, he saw that Lin Yi's face didn't look good. He quickly said, of course I'm not talking about your female companion. They are blind. How dare they capture the people around you? It's nothing. Let's go together. Lin Yi nodded. Since Sun Jingyi was fine for the time being, he naturally breathed a sigh of relief. However, he was thinking about something in his heart. An idea flashed through Lin Yi's mind just now. It was to let Sun Jingyi beat them at their own game and pretend to be captured. Then, when she was escorted to the poison refining base, Lin Yi would take the opportunity to follow her and destroy the poison refining base in one fell swoop. However, this idea was extinguished by Lin Yi as soon as it appeared. It was too dangerous. Let's not talk about the strength of the martial artist that Big Brother Feng mentioned. Lin Yi didn't have the ability to fight against him. Even if Lin Yi could fight against him, it was too dangerous to let Sun Jingyi wait here until there were 10 people. Sun Jingyi wasn't a cultivator. She didn't have the strength. If something happened to her, it would be too late for Lin Yi to regret it. The matter of the poison refining base wasn't urgent. If the pangolin wasn't dead, then it was most likely transformed into a biohuman. Lin Yi didn't have much of an impact whether he went early or late. It was better to wait until he had the strength to go. How about this? I'll go in alone in a while and make a scene at the Firewolf Hotel. You wait for me at the door. If I can't see the third head, you can help me introduce him. Lin Yi thought about it and said to Big Brother Feng. This. Big Brother Feng knew that Lin Yi wanted to use the kidnapping of his female companion to vent his anger. This way the third head and the others wouldn't think that Lin Yi was deliberately dealing with them. Instead they would think that Lin Yi was standing up for Sun Jingyi. At that time, even if Lin Yi made a scene, the third head would not run away. This way Big Brother Feng wouldn't have to come forward. He was naturally happy. However, what he thought was, what if Lin Yi didn't see the third head after he made a scene? Wouldn't those people know Lin Yi if he were to introduce them to him? Don't worry. I will disguise myself. Lin Yi said faintly, if it doesn't work, I will change my face and go in with you. That's fine. Big Brother Feng breathed a sigh of relief and secretly rejoiced. Do you have a car? Lin Yi didn't give Big Brother Feng time to rejoice but asked. Yes. Big Brother Feng and Lin Yi walked out of the office side by side. Before leaving the office, Big Brother Feng gave second death and hammer anesthetics. They probably wouldn't wake up for a day. At this moment, Lin Yi and Big Brother Feng were like friends who had just finished a business deal. They went from the basement to the parking lot of the bar without attracting any suspicion. Chapter 23:14. Since Big Brother Dafeng decided to follow Lin Yi, he naturally called him boss. Just call me Ing. Lin Yi said his previous code name. It was a code name he used when he was on a mission with Pangolin. Since it was revenge for Pangolin, Lin Yi naturally used this code name again. Then I will call you Brother Ing from now on. Big Brother Dafeng said, you can call me Dafeng from now on. Lin Yi responded faintly. He wondered if the third elder knew the location of the poison refining base. The car quickly arrived near the Firewolf Hotel. Lin Yi didn't let Dafeng drive the car to the door. Instead he parked it in a remote alley next to it. He was also afraid that the people at the Firewolf Hotel would recognize his car. Before getting out of the car, Lin Yi poked a few spots on Dafeng's body and said, I won't unseal your acupoints. You can't use your hands and legs for 10 hours. Of course, you can use your true energy to forcefully open the acupoints, but you have to bear the consequences. Brothering, don't worry. In fact, even if you don't poke my acupoints, I won't run away. I will follow you in the future. Dafeng saw that Lin Yi had the determination to destroy the Red Conches, so before Lin Yi failed, he wouldn't do anything behind Lin Yi's back. Of course, this was also because he had no other choice. It was impossible for him to sincerely surrender to Lin Yi now. Lin Yi nodded and didn't say anything. He strode to the Firewolf Hotel. Boom. Wah. Lin Yi didn't push the door in, but he kicked it in. Outside the hotel, a luxurious crystal revolving door was directly kicked away by Lin Yi. It directly hit a security guard sitting at the front desk and smashed him into a meat patty. The security guard didn't even make a sound before he died. Although this security guard was only a small character, the security guards here were 100% members of the Red Conches or the Firewolf gang. Otherwise, they wouldn't just watch a gangster take away a single female guest. Therefore, Lin Yi didn't sympathize with him at all. This sudden turn of events caused the waiters in the hotel to scream in horror. Someone actually dared to come to the Firewolf Hotel to make a scene? One had to know which of the local small gangs did not know the background of the Firewolf Hotel. However, there were also some brave waiters who pressed the emergency pager. Suddenly, the hotel lobby was filled with a loud ringing sound. Of course, this was the result of Lin Yi not being able to stop it. If Lin Yi wanted to stop it, these waiters would have already fallen to the ground. How would they have the time to press the beeper? A group of security guards rushed down from the hotel's security room and surrounded Lin Yi, who was standing leisurely in the lobby. Kid, who are you? You dare to come to our Firewolf Hotel and cause trouble? One of them, who was wearing a different uniform and was obviously the security captain, raised his baton and pointed at Lin Yi. You guys are the security guards of this hotel? Lin Yi looked at the security captain in front of him indifferently. Not simple, a security captain actually had the strength of the middle phase of the golden class. It seemed that this Firewolf Hotel was really a den of thieves. Security? You can think of it that way, but in front of you, we are thugs. The security captain looked at Lin Yi with a cold smile. We only protect the guests of the hotel. For people like you who want to make trouble, they usually come in standing and go out lying down. Protect the guests? Lin Yi looked at the security captain mockingly. If he didn't say this, Lin Yi would not want to kill him, but this security captain actually said that he was protecting the guests? Knowing that Sun Jingyi was temporarily not in danger, Lin Yi laughed instead of getting angry. If that's the case, my girlfriend called me from the hotel and said that some hooligans spiked her drink. My girlfriend hid in the washroom and they rushed in to take her away. Don't tell me that you don't know, or that it was your people who did it. A trace of panic flashed in the security captain's eyes. Of course he knew about this, but he didn't think that Sun Jingyi actually had a companion here, and he rushed over so quickly. It seemed like he was a practitioner? Otherwise, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to kick the revolving door away. Even if he wasn't the early phase of the golden class, he was at least half a step into the golden class, which was considered to be a practitioner. Did you misunderstand? Your girlfriend was caught here? How is that possible? This is a legal hotel, not to mention hooligans, they can't even enter the door. Just like you, we found you the moment you entered the door. The security captain naturally wouldn't admit that they had caught Sun Jingyi. Since you don't admit it, then you can all go to hell. Lin Yi was already very angry with this Firewolf Hotel. He snorted coldly and moved his body. The group of security guards who surrounded Lin Yi and the security captain who was arrogant just now all fell to the ground. No one knew whether they were dead or alive. The waiters thought that the matter would be solved when the security guards came. Usually, if there were people who came to make trouble, the security team would come, and those troublemakers would be carried out. But now the situation seemed to be reversed. The waiters suddenly let out a burst of screams, and then like a swarm of bees, they fled in all directions. Soon, they escaped to the upper floor of the hotel and disappeared without a trace. You sure left fast. Lin Yi smiled coldly as he used the fifth form of Mu Linsen's 8 trigrams palm. His 2 palms turned into 10 palms, hitting the bar counter, the wall paintings, the sofa, the chandelier, the bonsai, and all sorts of other objects in the hotel, turning the entire lobby into rubble. Is there anyone who can talk to me? The owner of this place, get out here. After Lin Yi smashed everything, he shouted loudly. His voice didn't seem loud, but it was condensed with a majestic pure energy, and the entire hotel building was shaken. If Lin Yi wasn't afraid of hurting Sun Jingyi, he would have directly destroyed the hotel like how he dealt with Zhao Qibing. In the surveillance room of Firewolf Hotel, the third head looked at the surveillance video of the hotel lobby with a hidden face. He couldn't believe it. What kind of move is this? Is it a martial art? How can he use 10 palms at once? In the surveillance room, he couldn't feel the power of Lin Yi's martial art, so the third head couldn't see what strength Lin Yi had. I'm not sure, but it shouldn't be a martial art. I've never heard of such a martial art. It should be a fast movement technique, a kind of external martial art. The Earth class master next to the third head said after thinking for a while. And? The third head nodded after hearing the words of the Earth class master. As long as it wasn't a martial art, it was fine. This person couldn't use martial arts, so he shouldn't be a master. Zhang Yilong, Zhao Erhu, go down and catch this person for me. Chapter 23:15. Although he didn't know where Lin Yi came from, the Red Conches were never afraid of trouble. No matter who Lin Yi was, he wouldn't be able to leave this place alive. Yes. Zhang Yilong and Zhao Erhu were mystic late phase peak, the same as Dafeng. Of course, the third elder and the early stage Earth class master wouldn't make a move so easily. He was the third elder of the Red Conches, and he had the intention to make this early stage Earth class master the fourth elder. Both of them were boss-level characters and they weren't normal fighters. Zhang Yilong and Zhao Erhu came downstairs, and without saying a word they attacked Lin Yi from the left and right. As fighters, they naturally had the awareness of fighters. They didn't come down to bicker with Lin Yi, but to take down Lin Yi and send him to the third head. Looks like the boss here is a coward, he doesn't dare to admit to his actions. Lin Yi's 2 seemingly casual slaps landed directly on Zhang Yilong and Zhao Erhu's faces. These 2 mystic late phase peak didn't even know how they died. Their heads were sent flying by Lin Yi. Mystic late phase peak was nothing more than an ant in Lin Yi's eyes, and he could kill them with one move. Lin Yi was truly enraged. He didn't want to waste any more time talking to them. The fiercer he was, the more powerful the person behind them would appear. The third head's face changed in the surveillance room. He didn't expect that his 2 mystic late phase peak fighters would be slapped to death by Lin Yi as if they were flies. Fourth, what do you think? Since he wanted to train him to be the fourth head, the third head naturally called him fourth. I underestimated him. Old C's face was ugly as well. He didn't think that in the blink of an eye 2 mystic late-phase peak cultivators would be killed by Lin Yi. Although he could kill them as well, he was an Earth class, which meant that Lin Yi was at least an Earth class. Let's go down and meet him. Perhaps we'll have to return him to him. It's better to squash enmity than keep it alive. We don't have any enmity with him. It's better to take a step back. The third boss said with a wry smile. Just like that. The fourth leader was taken aback. I'm afraid this person came from the hidden plane or the ancient plane. Although we're not afraid, there's no benefit in fighting him to the death. Third boss said, people like us are like this. How can we not wet our shoes if we always stand by the river? I've made a mistake this time. Sigh. The fourth leader smiled bitterly and stood up helplessly. Then he walked out and quickly ordered one of his subordinates to take the woman away. Then he and the third leader hurriedly took the elevator downstairs. I'm the owner of this hotel. Brother, I think you must have misunderstood something. Our hotel would never do something like kidnapping your girlfriend. I'm afraid it was some gangsters who colluded with other security guards to do such a thing. I'm sorry, but I'll definitely investigate and give you an explanation. The third boss's words were very tactful, and no one could find fault with it. The security guards were already dead, so there was no way they could testify. It was just right to put the blame on them. Third boss? Lin Yi's eyes narrowed. This person had the strength of an Earth-class late-phase peak. He should be the third boss that Dafeng was talking about. And the one beside him should be the remaining Earth-class early-phase master. I'm an orphan. I have no brothers. Lin Yi frowned and pointed at Zhang Yilong and Zhao Eru. What are those two doing? Them? I don't know them? The third boss looked at Zhang Yilong and Zhao Eru's corpses blankly. Look at those two, they're not our hotel security guards. They're probably friends of those security guards? Or perhaps they're in cahoots with those gangsters. Those gangsters are really strong. They have 2 mystic late-phase peak masters as friends. Lin Yi obviously didn't believe the third boss's words. Hee hee. The third leader let out a dry laugh as a cold glint flashed across his eyes. He had already taken a stance and admitted defeat. Yet this person before him was still so overbearing. Could it be that he really wanted to fight to the death? At this time, the third boss's men came down from the elevator and brought Sun Jingyi to the third boss. Boss, I found out that it was a group of gangsters who kidnapped Sun Jingyi. I've already rescued her. You don't have any strength at all. To be able to rescue my girlfriend from a group of gangsters with golden mid and mystic late phase peak strength? You really are a weirdo. Lin Yi snorted coldly. Brother, I've already found her for you. No matter what the misunderstanding is, let's just forget about it. The third boss said faintly, I don't know your strength, but I'm afraid that if we really fought, you wouldn't have it easy. Is that so? Lin Yi saw that Sun Jingyi was safe and sound. Naturally, he wouldn't go easy on her. As soon as the words left his mouth, he moved towards the fourth boss who was beside the third boss. Frenzy Fire 8 Trigrams Palm, 5th form. This was the first time Lin Yi had used the third form of the Frenzy Fire 8 Trigrams Palm. But even so, the power was still shocking. The third form of the Frenzy Fire 8 Trigrams Palm was equivalent to the 6th form of the Frenzy Fire Fist. This situation made Lin Yi extremely happy. The fourth boss was only at the early phase of the Earth class. Lin Yi didn't want to reveal all of his trump cards, so he only used the third form. But even the third form, under Lin Yi's modified form, had the power of the 7th form of a normal martial technique. Boom! Lin Yi's palm landed on the fourth boss chest. The fourth boss only grunted before his body flew out like a kite with a broken string. He spat out a mouthful of blood and landed on the ruins of the bar that Lin Yi had smashed before, never to get up again. So powerful. Lin Yi secretly clicked his tongue. He didn't expect the Frenzy Fire 8 Trigrams Palm to have such power. However, in Lin Yi's heart he was even more afraid of Taganlong. Taganlong was only at the early phase of the Earth class, but his 5 elements 8 Trigrams Palm already had the power of the 5th form of a normal martial technique. Then wouldn't the 5th form have the power of the 25th form of a normal martial technique? Even if Tagan Dragon couldn't be like him, who didn't have a universal martial skill, and could master any martial skill, even if he couldn't master it, the 5th move would be equivalent to the 20th move. How terrifying. Lin Yi couldn't imagine what kind of terrifying existence Taganlong would become when he grew up. Chapter 23:16. But Tagangan had come at that crucial moment, and if Lin Yi had stayed even a second longer, Tagangan would have made him stay. Psi power? In the end, it was all about power. Not being able to kill Tagan Dragon was still a hidden danger. He hoped that he would be crippled and unable to recover. Earth class mid-stage but able to use the 7th form? The third head's eyes flashed with doubt. How is that possible? Stop pretending. You guys planned this, didn't you? Don't tell me that these security guards had nothing to do with you. I hate people like you who think you're smart. Linny said lightly. Kit, you've decided to take revenge? The third head's face darkened and his aura grew stronger. From the initial calm, it was now filled with true energy. His peak late-stage Earth-class strength was on full display. You may be able to use the 7th form, but you're still too weak for me. I'm a peak late-stage Earth-class and I can use the 10th form. You'll die if you fight me. Tell me where you're from. I don't care what kind of background you have. You have to give us an explanation for what happened today. Explanation? Who do you think you are? Linny smiled coldly. Even if you're from an ancient sect, I won't let this go. The third head said coldly. Ancient sect? Linny curled his lips. The third head paused. Looking at Lin Yi's expression, it seemed like he didn't care about ancient sections. His heart sank. He suddenly thought of a possibility, a terrifying possibility. His voice trembled. Could it be, you're from that place? That place? What place? Linny paused. Phew. Seeing that Lin Yi's confused expression didn't seem to be fake, the third head breathed a sigh of relief. As long as he wasn't from that place, everything was fine. The Fire Wolf gang and Red Conches might not be afraid of that place, but he was just the third head of a small branch. There was no way he could go against them. Lin Yi frowned and memorized these 4 words. That place. What kind of place was that? It seemed to be very strong? It seemed to be even more powerful than the ancient sects? You don't have to try to get information out of me. I don't belong to any sect, Lin Yi said coolly. No sect. A cold light flashed in the third head's eyes. Good, very good. You don't belong to any sect or sect. Since you don't want to talk, then stay here and pay for the deaths of my brothers. You finally admit that these are your people? Lin Yi looked at the third elder with a faint smile. I'm about to die. So what if I admit it? The third elder already had the intention to kill Lin Yi. Since Lin Yi didn't say where he came from, and the surveillance video also recorded this scene, even if someone came looking for him, he could use the surveillance video to push the blame away. Even if Lin Yi really came from that place, if Lin Yi didn't admit it himself, then he would have died in vain. Who told him not to say it? Since you admitted it, then I'll admit it too. Lin Yi smiled slightly. Third elder of the Red Conches, I originally came to find trouble with you. If you didn't capture my girlfriend, I wouldn't know how to lure you out. But since you came here to die, you can't blame others. You know who I am? The third elder frowned slightly. He realized that he seemed to have made a mistake. From the beginning to the end, he thought that Lin Yi came to stand up for Sun Jingyi, but now it seemed that wasn't the case. Lin Yi already knew his identity and stated that he was coming for him. Naturally. Lin Yi said faintly, it's the famous Red Conch. You stole my car, so I naturally came to find you. Stole your car? You're from the Supernatural Investigation Department? The third elder was shocked and asked subconsciously. If it was a normal car, it naturally wouldn't catch the third elder's attention. However, Lin Yi's Grand Cherokee had the license plate of the Supernatural Investigation Department. It was convenient for them to cover for the drugs, so the third elder naturally paid attention. No, but I was the one who captured your second elder. Lin Yi said lightly, and that death warrior, I killed him as well. And your partner, the secular house you, I also killed him. You? Who are you? The third elder was getting more and more shocked. So this person in front of him was the archenemy of the Red Conches? But after connecting all these things, he suddenly thought of someone. You're Lin Yi? You know me? Lin Yi was surprised. He didn't expect the third elder to know his name. It really is you. The third elder had a look of realization on his face. Fighting an enemy above your level. Like I said, other than the people from that place, who else would have the ability to do this? So it's you, the legendary Lin Yi. Since you know me, then it's easy. If you don't want to die too painfully, then tell me a few things. Maybe I can let you go. Lin Yi said lightly. You let me go? The third elder laughed. You're an Earth class mid-phase and you're talking to me like this? Earth class mid-phase can kill you. You can try if you don't believe me. Lin Yi said nonchalantly. The third elder was an Earth class late phase peak, but the amount of pure chi he had was much weaker than the fifth protector. The current Lin Yi could even fight against the fifth protector back then, let alone the third elder. According to the theory of the fiery 8 trigram palm, Lin Yi's third form was equivalent to the sixth form, Fiery Fist. The 5th form was equivalent to the 10th form, which was the 11th form. It had the same effect as the fiery god bullet. Naturally, it would be able to suppress the 5th protector's 10th form. Of course, if he were to fight head-on, Linny would probably be heavily injured. This was his last resort. If it wasn't necessary, Linny didn't want to fight head-on with the 3rd elder. Even if he killed the 3rd elder, Linny wouldn't feel good. And the most important point was that after getting rid of the 3rd head, he couldn't ask anything he wanted to ask. Linny, I don't think that we, the Red Conches, have offended you. The common house you did, and I have nothing to say when they were annihilated. The 2nd elder and the Death Warrior went to find you, and I have nothing to say. But you came to the Red Conches headquarters for no reason at all. Do you really think that we're pushovers? The 3rd elder laughed coldly and said angrily. Chapter 23:17. Then what do you want? The 3rd head asked. Where are you going to send my girlfriend to? Linny asked. I'll give you a chance to tell me the truth. If you insist on asking this, there's no harm in me telling you. There will be a Heaven Stage Martial Master escorting them to another branch of our Red Conch. I don't know where it is exactly. I don't have enough authority, so this is all I can know. The 3rd head thought that Linny was going to ask some questions. He didn't need to hide this question at all and could directly tell Linny. However, if you want to find trouble with them, I advise you to save it. There are Heaven Stage experts there. No matter how powerful you are, you won't be able to cause any trouble. Oh, thank you for the reminder. Linny was a little disappointed. It seemed that Brother Dafong was right. The things that the 3rd head knew weren't as much as Brother Dafong. At least he had been in charge of the poison refining base before, and although the 3rd head was the head of the branch here, he didn't know much about the poison refining base. Is it your poison refining base? Poison refining base? You know quite a bit? The 3rd head was slightly taken aback and said, It should be, but I don't know much about the specifics. Your girlfriend hasn't really been sent out, so let's end this matter here, okay? We'll mind our own business. The 3rd head actually hated Linny to the core, but he also knew that if he fought with Linny, even if he killed Linny, he would have to pay a huge price. Now that all the experts in this branch had been killed by Linny, if something were to happen to him, the Supernatural Investigation Bureau would take this opportunity to catch them all in one fell swoop. Then the 3rd head would really have the heart to cry. Oh, I forgot to tell you. My father-in-law is Feng Tianlong, so go and die. Linny had asked all that he needed to ask, so he naturally wouldn't keep this 3rd head alive. Moreover, Linny had his own thoughts. On the domestic side, the Red Conch's people had all been killed by Linny, and only Brother Dafong was left. It was likely that the Red Conch's headquarters would directly let Brother Dafong take charge of the Red Conch's domestic branch. This way, Linny would be able to plant a spy in the Red Conch, and it would be convenient for him to inquire about some secrets. Therefore, in order for Brother Dafong to smoothly take charge, Linny had to risk his life to help him clear the obstacles in front. Fiery 8 Trigram Palm, 5th form. With a roar, Lin Yi's aura instantly reached its peak. At this moment, the 3rd head's eyes narrowed and his body moved. He felt that Lin Yi had the intention to kill, but what surprised him was that Lin Yi didn't seem to use his full strength when he fought against the 4th head. This was his true strength. Fire Wolfgang's ultimate technique, Fire Wolf Roar, 10th form. The 3rd head cultivated the Fire Wolfgang's mental cultivation technique. He also used the Fire Wolfgang's self-created martial technique. Due to the restriction of the body's attributes, not everyone from the Fire Wolfgang and the Red Conch family could cultivate it. One must have a fire attribute physique to practice the Fire Wolfgang's internal cultivation technique. However, the strength level of each person's cultivation was different. It was said that the most powerful ones were those who were genetically modified by the Fire Wolfgang or those whose bodies were infected by rabies. They could accept the Fire Wolfgang's inheritance and become the most powerful inheritor of the Fire Wolfgang. However, this inheritor was different from the inheritors of the ancient sections. Although this inheritor was called an inheritor, it was not an inheritor. To put it bluntly, it was an expert who had the same strength as the inheritor and was transformed by the Fire Wolfgang. The experts who had been genetically modified by the Fire Wolfgang still had no survival rate, and the experts who were infected by rabies were also dead. So, at present, the Fire Wolfgang didn't have an inheritor. The Fire Wolf Roar martial arts technique was transformed into a Fire Wolf's attack. The 3rd head's figure turned into a Fire Wolf and rushed toward Lin Yi. His hands turned into claws like 2 wolf claws with sharp and hot flames. Lin Yi frowned. He didn't expect the 3rd head's speed to be so fast. As soon as he made his move, he immediately responded. Compared to the 4th head's reaction speed, it was unknown how many times faster. He couldn't achieve his goal of a sneak attack. Facing an opponent who was stronger than him, unless Lin Yi used a Zhenqi bomb, he could only fight head-on. However, Lin Yi didn't compress the Zhenqi bomb. It came in a rush, and Lin Yi mainly wanted to try out his new move. The third head was not a heaven-class expert and he was not very powerful. He was only a peak late-stage Earth-class expert. So Lin Yi didn't use a Zhenqi bomb, which could easily injure himself. Boom. The two sides' energy collided and made a muffled sound like thunder. Lin Yi's palms and the third head's claws collided and made a muffled sound. After the collision, Lin Yi and the third head's bodies flew out at the same time. Lin Yi and the third head spat out a mouthful of blood at the same time. Both of them had suffered serious internal injuries. Suffering internal injuries was something that Lin Yi could foresee. Although the third head wasn't a very powerful late-stage Earth-class expert, his strength was still there. His martial arts level was also there. It was impossible for Lin Yi to not be injured when he fought head-on like that. But Lin Yi's move was definitely not good for the third head. It was equivalent to a heaven-class expert's 11th martial art technique, fiery 8 trigrams palm 5th style. It hit the third head's body. The third head felt as if his internal organs were dislocated. This isn't the 5th style. After landing, it took a long time for the third head to catch his breath and said in horror, "Super modified 5th style." Lin Yi only needed to heal his meridians and internal organs a little. He just needed to make sure that he didn't die. He didn't want to give the third head too much time to breathe. He wasn't afraid that he couldn't kill the third head, but he was afraid that the third head would run away. Super modified 5th style? The third head was stunned. "Eat another one of my moves," Lin Yi said as he jumped up and once again used the fiery 8 trigrams palm technique towards the third head. Chapter 23:18. He was hit by Lin Yi and his injuries weren't light. He hadn't even recovered, and Lin Yi was already able to stand up and use a second technique? That wasn't possible, right? Unless he was forcefully holding on. Thinking up to this point, the third head wasn't afraid of Lin Yi anymore. It was just a strong bow, there was no need to be afraid of him. Who didn't know how to forcefully hold on? Let's see who would have the last laugh. This was a matter of who had a stronger foundation and could last longer. He, the third head of the house, was an Earth-class late-phase peak while Lin Yi was only an Earth-class mid-phase. Even if Lin Yi's martial arts were strong, there was no way he could win against him. Fire Wolf Roar, 10th form. The third head once again activated the Fire Wolf Roar towards Lin Yi, and the two once again clashed head-on. Boom dash, another loud sound rang out. Both of their palms and claws quickly collided together, and then quickly separated again. Lin Yi spat out a mouthful of blood and so did the third head. However, Lin Yi's face wasn't as pale as before, but the third head's face was very ugly. Not only was it pale but there was also a black aura of death. His internal injuries hadn't recovered yet, and he was forcefully holding on against Lin Yi. Naturally it wouldn't be good for him. However, from the third head's perspective, Lin Yi's situation should be much worse than his. After all, Lin Yi's strength was there for all to see. Of course he didn't see Lin Yi's face. If he saw Lin Yi's face he wouldn't think like this. After Lin Yi fell on the ground, he quickly activated the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery to quickly heal his internal injuries. This time, compared to the fight with Su Shihan, Lin Yi was much stronger. First, his strength had increased and second, his martial technique had increased. If he were to face that Earth-class man in black again, even if Lin Yi didn't instantly kill him, he definitely wouldn't be as exhausted as he was before. Third head, how is it? Let's go again? Let's see who's going to die. Lin Yi stood up once again and looked down at the third leader as he coldly asked with a mocking expression. You can't be. The third head looked at Lin Yi's face and he really couldn't believe it. At this moment he almost couldn't stand up. Not to mention that his complexion was already super ugly, but Lin Yi was actually still able to stand up. Most importantly, his complexion was still so good. However, even though he was extremely puzzled, he had no choice but to force himself to stand up again when he saw Lin Yi walking towards him. He was a bit regretful. He shouldn't have forced himself to fight Lin Yi before. He didn't think that although Lin Yi was weak, his martial technique was strong, and his defense was also strong. After being hit twice by the 10th form of the martial technique, not only did it look like he wasn't heavily injured, but he could also use the martial technique again. Earth-class mid-stage, how did this guy become so strong? However, it was too late for him to run now. His body was covered in injuries. Not to mention the fact that he didn't have the strength to run away. Even if he ran, leaving his back to the enemy would be an idiotic act. The third elder didn't want to die without knowing why. At the very least, he wanted to drag someone down with him. I don't believe that you, an Earth-class mid-stage, is stronger than me, an Earth-class late-stage peak. Is there any logic to this? The third head held his breath, but it filled his body with energy again. He turned his grief and indignation into strength. He shouted unwillingly, "Eat my fire wolf roar 10th form. I don't believe I can't beat you to death. I'm not afraid that you don't believe me, I'm afraid that you won't make your move." After Lin Yi finished speaking, his body moved as well. The Raging Fire Fist 4th form. This time Lin Yi didn't use the 5th form. After all, the 5th form consumed too much energy. Lin Yi was already injured, and he didn't need to waste his energy to fight with the third head unless it was a life-and-death situation. Plus, the martial technique was a bit too powerful. Although the third head was an Earth-class late-stage peak master, he wasn't that strong. In Lin Yi's eyes, he wasn't even as strong as the guardian who stood up for Jianghu. So, Lin Yi was afraid that he would use the 5th form of the Raging Fire 8 trigrams palm and directly kill the third head. The third head clearly felt that the strength of the attack on his body had become a lot weaker, but he was still unable to resist it. This time he fell to the ground and his 5 internal organs and meridians were all seriously damaged. Even if he wanted to circulate his Jin Qi, it would not be smooth. And because Lin Yi was able to recover in time every time he was injured, this time, although it looked bad, Lin Yi knew that although the injury was serious, it wasn't fatal. He quickly circulated the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery, and very quickly, Lin Yi's meridians and organs were mostly repaired. "How is it? Again?" Lin Yi quickly walked in front of the third head and asked. "Lin Yi, I underestimated you." The third head spat out these few words with a bitter smile. Even these few words were extremely difficult to say. It could be seen that he was injured to the point where he couldn't fight with Lin Yi anymore. "Do you want to be tortured to death or do you want to live?" Lin Yi asked. "I can still live?" The third head was stunned. "Hand it over to my father-in-law Feng Tianlong," Lin Yi said. "Isn't that still death?" The third head smiled bitterly. "It's just a matter of dying sooner or later." "That's not true. Dying in my hands will be painful, but dying in my father-in-law's hands is probably just a matter of a bullet," Lin Yi said. "Say what you want to say. Since I'm in your hands, I don't want to escape." The third head was very straightforward. "Have you seen this person before?" Lin Yi bent down and showed the pangolin's photo to the third head. The third head looked at Lin Yi's phone in confusion, then shook his head and said, "No, I don't know this person." "It's okay, you go to sleep first." Lin Yi punched the third head and knocked him out. At this moment, the third head had no pure energy to protect his body, so he was knocked out by Lin Yi's punch. Although he already guessed that the third head wouldn't know about the pangolin, Lin Yi still couldn't help but ask. Of course, the answer disappointed Lin Yi, but it was reasonable. In the eyes of the third head and the others, the pangolin was just a small character. Even if they fought before, they wouldn't remember it. At that time, Lin Yi was only a golden class, and Armadillo hadn't even stepped into golden class yet. Naturally, he wouldn't have caught the attention of an Earth-class late-phase peak like the third head of the house. After knocking the third head out, Lin Yi called his father-in-law Feng Tianlong. Chapter 23:19. "Uncle Feng, I kicked Red Conk's base in the country and crippled their third boss," Lin Yi said. "Huh?" Feng Tianlong froze when he heard Lin Yi's words. He didn't expect Lin Yi to be this strong. He even kicked Red Conk's base. One had to know that there was an Earth-class late-phase peak master there all year round. Although Feng Tianlong really wanted to uproot Red Conk's base in the country, he didn't do it because of his limited strength. "Little Yi, you're in Qingrun City?" Feng Tianlong asked. "Yeah, you know that their headquarters is in Qingrun City?" Lin Yi was surprised. He didn't expect Feng Tianlong to know the location of Red Conk's headquarters. "I just heard about it. I'm not sure, but your car is in Qingrun City." "I just checked the coordinates," Feng Tianlong said. "You can see where my car is?" Lin Yi paused and his expression turned weird. He didn't expect Feng Tianlong to be able to see where his car was. If he knew this, he would have called Feng Tianlong and didn't need to find a local number. However, Red Conk was quite careless. They actually wanted to use this car to transport drugs. If they were located, they wouldn't even know how they died. Of course. The car's current location. I looked at the map. It should be Qingrun City's Fire Wolf Hotel. "You're at Fire Wolf Hotel?" Feng Tianlong asked. "Yes, I'm here." "Uncle Feng, you can send someone over," Lin Yi said. "Okay, I'll send someone over right now. I'm taking a plane over too." "I'll be there later," Feng Tianlong said quickly. "Okay." Lin Yi hung up. He didn't expect the car to be at Fire Wolf Hotel. It was probably in the underground parking lot. He'll know when he goes there. Lin Yi turned to Sun Jingyi. Are you okay? I'm fine. They didn't do anything to me. They just locked me in a room alone, Sun Jingyi said. But you look injured? I'm fine. Lin Yi was pretty much recovered by now, so he was fine. As for the waiters and third head's men in the lobby, they were all gone. They only went into the hotel and didn't run out. Lin Yi wasn't worried that they would run away. When Qianlong's men came, he would be able to catch them all. Lin Yi closed the entrance to the underground parking lot and waited in the lobby for Feng Qianlong's arrival. Not long after, the sound of cars came from the entrance of the hotel. Lin Yi raised his head and saw more than 10 cheetahs parked in front of the hotel. It seemed that Tianlong had realized that there were a lot of people here, so he sent so many cars. After the car was parked, a group of 10 or so men in black walked into the hotel quickly. The leader walked over immediately when he saw Lin Yi. Hello, you must be Mr. Lin Yi? I'm Captain Feng's subordinate, the person in charge of the Supernatural Investigation Bureau in Qingrun City, Qin Bai. Nice to meet you, Mr. Qin. Lin Yi nodded and pointed at the third head in charge. He's the third head in charge of Red and Conscious. You guys take him away, I've killed his practitioners. As for the other waiters in the hotel, take them as you see fit. I'm in room 1209, tell Uncle Feng to come find me when he gets here. Okay, Mr. Lin, Qin Bai nodded. You can rest first. I'll take care of this. Alright, delete the surveillance footage. I don't want people to know about my existence. Lin Yi took off the thousand silk mask and returned to his original appearance. No problem. Qin Bai readily agreed. Lin Yi's request was a small matter to Qin Bai. Plus, the surveillance footage couldn't be leaked. Jingyi, you go up first. I still have something to do. I'll be right back, Lin Yi said to Sun Jingyi. Oh? Okay. Sun Jingyi was slightly surprised. Although she didn't know where Lin Yi was going, she guessed that there were things that Lin Yi didn't want these people to know. Lin Yi turned around and left the hotel. Qin Bai didn't send anyone to follow Lin Yi. He also knew that it was easy for Lin Yi to get rid of the people following him. With their strength, they weren't a match for Lin Yi at all. Lin Yi naturally went to find Brother De Feng. Lin Yi still had a use for this person. Although the Supernatural Investigation Bureau had wiped out Red Conk's branch in Qingrun City, Lin Yi didn't believe that Red Conk would give up their base in the country so easily. So, when the time came, they would definitely build a new stronghold, and the best candidate to be the leader of this stronghold was Brother De Feng. Before Lin Yi went to find Brother De Feng, he first called his old man's phone. Lin Yi had never tried to control one of his own people before. When Lin Yi accepted underlings, it was because the underlings sincerely worshipped him because of his strength. However, Brother De Feng was different. Lin Yi couldn't watch him all day long, and in such a short time, he might not sincerely surrender. In this way, Lin Yi had to use some means. Little Yi, why did you think of calling an old man like me? Old man Lin had just sent away a patient from the same village. At this time, he was drying medicinal herbs in the yard. He was a little puzzled when he received a call from Lin Yi. Old man, let me ask you something. I want to control a person and make this person do things for me. What should I do? Lin Yi asked. This person might not sincerely surrender to me. If I leave, it's not easy to control. I'll poison him. After old man Lin heard it, he said very easily. Poison? Lin Yi was slightly stunned and didn't quite understand. That kind of slow-acting poison. Give him some antidote after a year or two. If he doesn't take it, he will die. Moreover, it's not easy for others to detoxify the poison. Old man Lin said, I don't need to teach you this, right? There are a lot of books that you often read in the past, such as 7 Bugs 8 Herbs Poison, 9 Deaths Poison, and so on. I understand. Lin Yi nodded. He didn't think of it before. His medical skills were mainly used to save people, but he never thought of harming people. How have you been recently? Did you encounter any trouble? Old man Lin asked. It's all right. There were some troubles and it was a narrow escape, but they were all solved. Lin Yi said. And if you don't experience life and death, you won't get experience. An uncut jade will not be useful. Old man Lin said faintly. Chapter 23:20. Although Lin Yi didn't know what Old man Lin was trying to express, Lin Yi knew that he wanted to make himself stronger. If there's nothing else, I'm hanging up. Although the herbs in the poison recipe weren't easy to buy, Lin Yi sent a text to Feng Tianlong and asked him to bring them on the way. These things shouldn't be difficult for Feng Tianlong since there weren't any rare herbs. Feng Tianlong quickly replied that there was no problem. Lin Yi put on the thousand silk mask and came to the alley where Brother Dafeng parked his car. Brother Dafeng waited in the car obediently, but he couldn't move his hands and feet, so he couldn't walk far. However, Lin Yi still paid attention to the position of Brother Dafeng's hands and feet. Since he left, he hadn't moved at all. In other words, Brother Dafeng didn't try to struggle. Otherwise, if he moved, the position of his hands and feet would definitely change. This made Lin Yi secretly nod. This Brother Dafeng could still be used. Brother Ing, you're back? Brother Dafeng was a little happy to see Lin Yi back. Although Lin Yi seemed to be covered in blood, Lin Yi came back very calmly. He didn't run back. This meant that Lin Yi dealt with the third head in charge and his men. Lin Yi opened the door and got in the car. The third head in charge's men are all dead. He's disabled. I asked the people from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau to take him away. I don't think he'll come back. Congratulations, Brother Ing. Brother Dafeng quickly said, Brother Ing, I Dafeng will follow you from now on. Where are we going next? Nowhere for now. Lin Yi looked at Brother Dafeng and asked, Dafeng, is your hand okay? Is it serious? It's nothing. I'm a cultivator with the strength of the peak late phase mystic class. This small injury won't affect me. I can even fly a plane. Big Brother Dafeng grinned. In fact, he was a little depressed in his heart. Lin Yi had stepped on his hand quite hard. Although there was no problem using it normally, he couldn't use it in the future. For a cultivator, it was basically half crippled. Lin Yi nodded and took Dafeng's hand. He channeled the second stage of the Art of Dragon Mastery and quickly healed the injury on his hand. Then he said, You can't be crippled when I ask you to work for me. But if you fail, I don't mind sending you to see Third Master. My hand is healed? Big Brother Feng looked at his hand that was as good as new and was immediately surprised and overjoyed. Although he had said so before, he was still a little unhappy. After all, he was a cultivator. A hand that could only do ordinary things was no different from a cripple to him. Now that it was cured, he was really happy. However, after a while he quickly said, Brother Ing, don't worry. In the future, Dafeng will be yours. I will do whatever you want me to do. I'll let you stay here and take over Red Conk's branch, becoming the big boss. Is that okay? Lin Yi said. Me? First Master? Big Brother Feng was stunned. He didn't expect Lin Yi to make such a request. Before this, he didn't think about it. He just wanted to help Lin Yi after he escaped with Lin Yi. He didn't expect that Lin Yi would let him take over from Third Master and become the first Master of the Red Conch branch. Don't tell me that you don't have any connections in the Red Conch headquarters after so many years? Since you can be transferred from that difficult place to enjoy here, you should have a way, right? Lin Yi asked. I do have a way, but my strength is too low. Even if my strength isn't as high as the peak late phase of the Earth class, I need to at least reach the Earth class. Otherwise, the headquarters will still send one or more Earth class experts here. Big Brother Feng said hesitantly. I will let you advance to the Earth class. Have you heard of the small chi gathering pill? I can provide you with one to help you advance to the early phase of the Earth class. The rest is up to you. Lin Yi said, as for how to stop them from sending people over, I don't need to teach you, right? You said that the Supernatural Investigation Bureau is keeping a close eye on you. If a cultivator enters the country, it will be easy for them to target you. As a local force, you have an advantage. I understand, Brother Ing. Thank you so much. Big Brother Feng said solemnly, if I have the small chi gathering pill, then I have the confidence to become the first master of the branch. When you stabilize your position, think of a way to move around in the future. It's best if you can be transferred to the poison base as a person in charge or something. If that doesn't work, find out more about the poison base. Lin Yi said. Okay, I understand. Big Brother Feng nodded. Then that's it for now. Make your own plans and hide first. When the Supernatural Investigation Bureau takes Third Master and the others away, then come out, Lin Yi said. Yes, Brother Ing. Big Brother Feng quickly responded. Lin Yi went straight back to Firewolf Hotel. Chen Bai had already started to clean up the battlefield. The people related to Red Conches were all sent to the Supernatural Investigation Bureau's base. Chen Bai was just waiting for Feng Tianlong and Lin Yi. Lin Yi greeted Chen Bai and went upstairs. Sun Jingyi saw Lin Yi coming back and let out a sigh of relief. Finally, it's fine. I didn't expect so many things to happen in this line of work, Sun Jingyi said emotionally. It's all because of me. Thank you, Lin Yi. You don't have to say that. The incident in Qingrun City helped me a lot. If I didn't lose my car, I wouldn't have found my way here, Lin Yi said. Anyway, I'll remember it in my heart. Sun Jingyi said to Lin Yi very seriously and sincerely, ever since I was young, I've never had someone care about me so much. Don't tell me you're so touched that you fell in love with me? Lin Yi looked at Sun Jingyi's expression and asked with a smile. A little bit. Sun Jingyi nodded seriously. It's just that you seem to have too many girlfriends? I only have one lover, Linny said. Aren't you going to heal? Sun Jingyi blushed. She was a little embarrassed and changed the topic. Ha. Linny smiled. It turned out that Sun Jingyi could be embarrassed too. Shaking his head, Linny didn't tease her. He sat cross-legged on the bed and started to use the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal. In fact, the injuries in Lin Yi's body weren't serious. It wouldn't be a problem if he treated it sooner or later. In the blink of an eye, it was nighttime. Feng Tianlong came with the ingredients that Lin Yi needed to make poison. Chapter 23-21. But at the dinner table, Sun Jingyi felt weird and embarrassed. Tianlong was Xiao Xiao's father, Xiao Xiao was Lin Yi's girlfriend, and she was sitting with Lin Yi. What was going on? Even if Sun Jingyi knew that she didn't do anything with Lin Yi, they still came out from the same room. It was hard to guarantee that Tianlong wouldn't think too much about it. But what confused Sun Jingyi was that Tianlong didn't even ask a single question about it. His attitude towards Sun Jingyi was very friendly, and he even smiled and said that he was an old friend of House Sun and had a good relationship. Lin Yi, have you contacted Xiao Xiao recently? Tianlong asked Lin Yi after dinner. No, but Yao Yao and the others seem to have contacted Xiao Xiao. Lin Yi shook his head. They said that Xiao Xiao wanted me to find a big wife, so I don't know what's going on? Tianlong paused then smiled. He understood what was going on. Meng Yao told him about Lin Yi and Tang Yun, and Lin Yi probably remembered that he had a big wife or something, so Meng Yao and Xiao Xiao discussed it and changed it to a big wife. Tianlong naturally knew what his daughter was thinking, but he didn't say anything. As for Sun Jingyi, Tianlong didn't have any complaints. His daughter liked Lin Yi back then, and if it wasn't for Tang Yun, she wouldn't be where she is today. So whoever Lin Yi was with, as long as Xiao Xiao and Tang Yun were willing, he didn't care. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, Xiao Xiao would have died a long time ago. Oh, I think Xiao Xiao told me before that she wanted you to find a big wife. Tianlong nodded, confirming this. Is that so? Lin Yi heard Tianlong say this and believed it, but he felt that it was a little weird. Haha, all right. I'll be heading back first. This time it's all thanks to your help. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been able to catch this third manager. Tianlong said, but this is just a division of the Red Conches. Capturing their people will only make them stop for a while. It won't hurt them too much. Let's hope that we can get something useful this time. Lin Yi nodded but didn't explain much. The things the third master knew were limited, and Lin Yi had asked everything he needed to ask. Feng Tianlong probably wouldn't be able to get anything useful out of him. If the first master and second master had already told him, why would he wait for the third master? As for the third head's strength, there was nothing to be afraid of. He was heavily injured and it was impossible for him to rely on himself to recover. Without those minor reversion pills and meridian opening pills, he would be crippled for life. After Feng Tianlong left, the Fire Wolf Hotel was sealed. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi naturally couldn't stay here anymore. Even if they did, there wouldn't be any waiters left. Those related to the Red Conches were all arrested, and those who weren't were all gone. All that was left was an empty building. Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi first found another hotel to stay in. After Lin Yi made the poison, he called Dafeng Bro and told him to find him at the hotel. Before Dafeng Bro came, Lin Yi called Han Xiaopa. Boss, long time no see. I heard that you haven't been going to school recently? Han Xiaopa's hidden house. Han had distant relatives in Donghai Industry University, but Wang Xinyan's kidnapping was only known by a few people close to Meng Yao. Naturally, Han Xiaopa didn't receive any news. And I have something to do, so I have to go far away. Lin Yi said, how are things on your side? The cultivators market you told me about last time, when will it start trading? That will have to wait. Han Xiaopa said, if there is, I will inform you in advance. That's good. Alright, I called you this time to borrow a small qi gathering pill. I will return it to you when I go back. Lin Yi thought that after he went back, Han Jingjing should be able to mass-produce small qi gathering pills. Although the materials for small qi gathering pills were hard to find, he had extorted some from the hidden house. Okay, but how do I give it to you? Han Xiaopa agreed without thinking. I'm at Qingrun City's XX Hotel. You can use the fastest flying fish express to send it. It should arrive in a day. Lin Yi said. Okay, I will send it to you now. Han Xiaopa agreed. After the call with Han Xiaopa, Dafeng Bro hadn't arrived yet. Conch Bar didn't suffer any damage this time. This was an excuse for Dafeng Bro's lucky escape. Otherwise, how could Dafeng Bro not be caught when the third head of the house was caught? Dafeng Bro temporarily returned to Conch Bar to contact the headquarters to clean up the mess. Did you call Wu Qintian and the others? Lin Yi asked. Not yet. I was just about to contact them when this happened. I just got my phone back. I didn't have time to call them yet. Sun Jingyi said. Then I'll call them. Linny nodded. He had just relaxed and things had come to an end. Linny called the mist directly. Mengyao picked up and saw that it was Linny. She was a little emotional. Too many things had happened in the family these days. There were happiness, there were sadness, there were setbacks, but the final result was good. Mengyao was one of the pillars of the family after Linny left. She had to take care of Wu Qintian and Elder Pai, and she also had to actively tell them that Linny said he would be back soon. But although Mengyao said that, there was no news of Linny at all. Everyone thought that Mengyao and Linny had contacted each other, but Mengyao herself knew that she didn't want to disturb Linny. She didn't even dare to make a phone call. However, she had to act like she knew everything and tell everyone not to worry. Everything would be fine once Linny was back. So, when she saw the phone call today, Mengyao was very, very happy. The miss, who usually didn't show her emotions, was excited for the first time. Linny, you're coming back soon? Yeah, I'll be back soon. In 2 days. Linny paused. He didn't expect the miss to say something like that. That's good. Mengyao breathed out in relief. As long as you're back soon, what's wrong? Did something happen? Linny frowned. His sharp senses told him that something was wrong. Chapter 23-22. You're inviting Wang Xinyan to your house? Lin Yi's expression was a little weird. The miss was inviting Wang Xinyan to her house? Why did it feel so weird? You're gone. There's no point in staying at home, so I invited her. I don't have any other intentions. The miss was a smart girl, but she was too worried about Lin Yi's well-being. Saying something like that would make it seem like she was hiding something. Let's not talk about that first. Let's talk about Xinyan's kidnapping first. Yeah? Lin Yi was concerned about Xinyan as well, but he was sure that everything was fine now, so he wasn't too worried. At that time, Wu Qintian went after the kidnappers. Mengyao said as she told Lin Yi about how Qintian was injured, and how Old Pai came to help. Wu Qintian was injured. Old Pai was injured as well? Lin Yi frowned. The two weren't in life-threatening danger, so Lin Yi wasn't too worried. What he was worried about was who the enemy was, to be able to injure Old Pai. With that thought, Lin Yi was eager to go home. I'll go back as soon as I'm done here. Right, what did Lingshan say about the kidnappers? There's no news from Lingshan, sis. She'll call me as soon as she hears anything, Mengyao said. Mengyao said. But even though the kidnappers were caught, there were still a few more kidnappings happening in Donghai, and the victims were all students with some money. So it seems like Xinyan's kidnapping was a bit of a coincidence. I heard that there was a gangster whose daughter was kidnapped as well. The golden-class bodyguard he assigned to his daughter was injured as well. Oh? Could it be a coincidence? Lin Yi calmed down a little after hearing that. It wouldn't be a big deal if it wasn't targeted at him and Xinyan, but it seemed like it was more of a coincidence. After all, there were a lot of people who were kidnapped as well. It's possible, but Xinyan's been a lot more careful these days. She's been staying at school and I don't dare ask her out anymore, Mengyao said. I understand, I'll be back soon. Tell Qintian and Elder Pai not to worry, I'll heal them when I get back. Also send that Pai Zhihai to the villa, I'll heal him too, Lin Yi said. Alright, I'll tell them now. Mengyao spoke to Lin Yi on the phone, and knowing that Lin Yi's matter was over, she felt much more at ease. She turned around and left the room to tell Qintian, Pai Zhishan, and Elder Pai the good news. But when he turned around he saw Yushu. Yao Yao, you're so mean, calling Shield Bro behind my back. Yushu put her hands on her waist and giggled behind Mengyao. Shu? When did you come in? Mengyao jumped in fright. She was too excited to even notice that someone had entered the room. Just now, I came in when you were talking to Shield Bro. Yushu said, so Yao Yao still likes Shield Bro? You look so happy when Shield Bro called. Did I? Mengyao blinked. How could Yushu see her when she was behind her? She raged. You lied to me? Watch how I punish you. Don't. Hurry up and tell Qintian and the others the good news. Yushu turned and ran away. Mengyao blushed as she looked at Yushu's back. She touched her burning cheeks. Was she really that happy just now? It did seem like it. Lin Yi's call swept away all the frustrations she'd been feeling for the past few days. But it was all because of the things at home. What did it have to do with her liking Lin Yi? Right, it shouldn't. Mengyao turned around and left the room to tell Qintian and the others the good news. Qintian had long since guessed that the day Lin Yi came back would be the day he'd fully recover, so he wasn't too happy or sad about it. But Pai Zhishan and Elder Pai were different. Mengyao said that she'd been in contact with Lin Yi these days, but Lin Yi didn't give them a definite answer. He didn't know when he'd come back or if he could save them. Today, however, Lin Yi had Elder Pai bring Pai Jihai over as well. This meant that Lin Yi agreed to treat Jihai. Elder Pai was very excited. Even if his injuries couldn't be healed, he'd accept it if he could cure Jihai. Plus, Lin Yi said that his and Qintian's injuries weren't a problem. Thank you for talking to Mr. Lin, Miss Chu. Elder Pai quickly thanked. I'll have someone send Jihai over now. Okay, you guys get ready. I'll be going back to my room to rest. Meng Yao relayed the news and breathed out in relief. At Qingrun City's XX Hotel, Dafeng Bro had rushed over, but when he entered Lin Yi's room he paused and said subconsciously, I'm sorry, I went to the wrong room. Dafeng Bro didn't know Sun Jingyi and he didn't know Lin Yi without the thousand silk mask. That was why he thought he went to the wrong room. That's right, come in Dafeng. Lin Yi said. Dafeng Bro froze when he heard Lin Yi's voice but reacted quickly. He looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. You're Eagle Bro? Yes, Lin Yi nodded faintly. After Dafeng Bro got a definite answer, he quickly entered the room and closed the door. He said carefully, Eagle Bro, I've already reported what happened here to the Red Conch headquarters. My backer. But I didn't mention Eagle Bro's name. I only said that Feng Tianlong from the Supernatural Investigation Bureau invited external help and uprooted Fire Wolf Hotel. And he didn't ask you why your conch bar was fine? Lin Yi asked. He did. Dafeng Bro nodded. But I said that the Supernatural Investigation Bureau probably didn't find this clue, or else it wouldn't be fine. So he believed you? Lin Yi asked. Of course he believed me. I was promoted by him and I give him a lot of money every year. He's happy that I'm fine and he's preparing to make me the boss here, Dafeng Bro said. I also revealed to him that I accidentally got a small chi gathering pill, but I didn't take it before because it wasn't the right time. Now that things are going well, I'll take it and he'll be more confident. Chapter 23-23. Poison? Big Brother Feng was stunned. What's this poison for? Brother Ing, are you trying to poison me? That's not right. The poison won't kill you. You must take the antidote every year to suppress it. Otherwise you will die from the pain. It will be more painful than the pain you experienced before, Lin Yi explained. Okay. Big Brother Feng listened to Lin Yi's explanation and nodded. He took the poison pill from Lin Yi's hand without hesitation and swallowed it. It surprised Lin Yi. You ate it? Aren't you worried that I won't give you the antidote? Lin Yi asked in surprise. If I do my job well, why wouldn't Brother Ing give me the antidote? Big Brother Feng said calmly. In the future, I will do my best to help Brother Ing gather information and become the person in charge of the poison refining base. Brother Ing won't treat me badly. It's good that you think that way. Lin Yi nodded with satisfaction. If you do your best, I won't treat you badly in the future. You advancing to the early phase of Earth class is just the beginning. In the future, I will help you advance to the middle phase or even the late phase of Earth class. It's not impossible for you to step into Heaven class. Once Lin Yi became a Heaven class master, the people around him could all become Earth class masters at the peak of the late phase. This was not a joke. It was just that Lin Yi didn't expect Big Brother Feng to be so determined to work for him. This surprised Lin Yi a little. Previously, he showed his true face because he wanted to give Big Brother Feng the poison. In the future, Big Brother Feng would be his subordinate, so there was no need to hide. It would be easier to do things if Big Brother Feng knew his true identity. Now it seemed that Lin Yi had underestimated Brother Dafeng's ambition. This guy had a good eye. In fact, Big Brother Dafeng naturally had good eyesight. Lin Yi had crippled the third head, killed the third head's men and came back alive and kicking. No matter how stupid Big Brother Dafeng was, he knew how capable Lin Yi was. Moreover, Lin Yi was really generous, giving him a small chi-gathering pill. He had worked in the Red Conch for so many years, but he had never received such a good pill. Of course, on one hand it was because there was no one in Red Conch who was good at alchemy. On the other hand, there were not many people who dared to use the biochemical drugs produced by the Fire Wolf gang. Apart from the Fire Wolf inheritance potion that was more mature and stable, the others were all experimental products. Who would dare to use them indiscriminately? As a result, Dafeng Bro felt that there wasn't much of a future in Red Conch, and that he might as well change bosses and follow Lin Yi. For a practitioner at his level, money wasn't important anymore, higher levels of strength were his life's goal. Thank you, Brother Ing. Big Brother Feng said excitedly. My real name is Lin Yi. When the small chi-gathering pill arrives I will leave. You can contact me directly in the future, Lin Yi said. What? You are Lin Yi? Big Brother Feng was shocked and jumped up from his chair. His eyes widened and he couldn't speak. What's wrong? Lin Yi frowned. No. I heard that the secular house you was destroyed because they offended you, and the second head of the Red Conch was also captured by you. Big Brother Feng also knew some secrets. The most important thing is that one of the Fire Wolf Gang's protectors was defeated by you. Oh? You know quite a lot. That's right, it's me. Lin Yi said. Since you know all this and know the hatred between me, the Red Conch, and the Fire Wolf Gang, you should know what to do in the future, right? I understand. I will try my best to raise my position in the Red Conch and help you break through the enemy lines. Big Brother Feng patted his chest and promised. Lin Yi nodded. He'd successfully subdued Dafeng Bro, and he'd planted a nail in the Red Sea snail. Lin Yi also knew that he couldn't be in a hurry to find information about the pangolin. He had to do it step by step, especially since there was a Sky-class master in the Red Conch headquarters. Lin Yi had to be even more careful. Without a perfect plan, he couldn't act rashly. Although the third head of the Earth class was very weak and not even as strong as Tagunlong, his Sky-class master Lin Yi couldn't underestimate him. 2 days later, Lin Yi received the small qi-gathering pill sent by Han Xiaopa. Lin Yi once again found Big Brother Feng and gave him the pill. At this time, Big Brother Feng had received the confirmation from his backer. If he really had the small qi-gathering pill and could successfully become an Earth-class master, then he could sit on the position of the head of the Red Conch branch. This news surprised and delighted Big Brother Feng, and the qi-gathering pill Lin Yi gave him made him even happier. Big Brother Feng didn't expect to become an Earth-class master so smoothly. At this moment, with the small qi-gathering pill in his hand, he already felt that he was about to break through. Thank you, brothering. Big Brother Feng bowed deeply to Lin Yi. In the future, I won't hesitate to sacrifice my life for you. It's fine if you sacrifice your life for me. Protect yourself and don't die. I'm still counting on you to find someone, said Lin Yi. Yes, don't worry, brothering. I will hide my identity well, said Big Brother Feng quickly. Don't reveal the photo I showed you before, but if there's a chance, help me find out if there's any news about this person in the poison refining base, said Lin Yi. Okay. Big Brother Feng naturally carried out Lin Yi's orders firmly. Okay, take care. I've given you the thing, I should go too. Lin Yi patted Big Brother Feng's shoulder. Lin Yi was worried about the situation at home, so it wasn't appropriate for him to stay for long. After saying goodbye to Big Brother Feng, Lin Yi drove the Grand Cherokee and headed home with Sun Jingyi. The return journey was smooth, and Lin Yi smoothly returned to Donghai City. He first sent Sun Jingyi to the hotel before Lin Yi drove back to the villa in the Shuoshang district. Lin Yi didn't bring Sun Jingyi home directly. He had to discuss it with Faubert and Grandma Sun first. This was a serious matter, and he couldn't make the decision alone. When Lin Yi returned to the villa, it was daytime. Meng Yao and the others were in school, and only Grandma Sun, Wu Qintian, Pai Jishan, and Elder Pai were at home. Pai Jihai had just been sent to Donghai City, but he didn't stay in the villa. Instead, he stayed at the Shuoshang Business Hotel nearby. After all, Elder Pai couldn't let everyone in the family stay at Lin Yi's house. Chapter 23-24. At this time, who would be here? Could it be? Jishan's blood boiled at the thought of this possibility. He had been waiting for Lin Yi's return, and now was Lin Yi really back? Lin Yi had promised to treat his grandpa and brother's wounds, but whether or not they could be healed was something Jishan didn't know. Qintian looked calm, but he hadn't experienced it firsthand, and Jishan was still worried. Now Lin Yi was back and it was time to witness a miracle. Jishan quickly opened the door and saw Lin Yi standing beside a Jeep Cherokee, ringing the doorbell. Boss, you're back. Jishan quickly walked out and opened the iron gate for Lin Yi. Boss, rest first, I'll help you park the car in the yard. Alright, I'll leave it to you then, Lin Yi nodded. How are your grandpa and Qintian? Their injuries are still the same. Boss, do you want to go check on them later? Jishan got out of the car and parked it in the yard. Let's go now. Lin Yi was worried about Qintian and Elder Pai's injuries on the way back. These two were injured while trying to save Xinyan, and Lin Yi couldn't just leave them be. Putting aside the fact that they were saving Xinyan because of him, and even if it wasn't because of him, he couldn't just sit by and watch as her savior got hurt, considering how much she'd helped him. Jishan was overjoyed. He thought that Lin Yi would rest for a bit after getting home, but he didn't expect Lin Yi to rush over to heal his grandpa and Qintian. After entering the villa, Grandma Sun smiled and nodded to Lin Yi. Mr. Lin, you're back. Do you need me to make you something to eat? Lin Yi turned his head and looked at Grandma Sun's smiling face. The more he looked, the more she looked like Sun Jingyi. He was even more sure of his guess. Before, Lin Yi thought that Grandma Sun looked like Sun Jingyi, but he didn't think much about it. After all, Grandma Sun was from House Sun and so was Sun Jingyi. They were related and it was normal for them to look similar. But now it was different. After guessing Sun Jingyi's identity, Lin Yi felt that Grandma Sun looked familiar. Grandma Sun, just call me Lil Yi from now on. Don't call me Mr. Lin. I'm not used to it. After knowing Grandma Sun's identity, Lin Yi didn't dare to let Grandma Sun call him Mr. Lin anymore. If something happened between him and Sun Jingyi, then Grandma Sun would be his mother-in-law. Lin Yi wasn't used to her being so polite. Yi, how many times have you told me that? I can't change it. Grandma Sun smiled. It's just a title anyway. Lin Yi didn't have a choice. He didn't say much. Grandma Sun, call Faubert and ask him to come here as soon as possible. I have something important to tell him. Okay, I'll call him in a bit. Grandma Sun saw how serious Lin Yi was and quickly nodded. Lin Yi, on the other hand, went with Pai Jishan to the room where Old Pai and Qintian were healing. The two of them lay in the same room every day chatting. Both of them were physical practitioners and Old Pai was a sky class. Qintian had the attitude of learning and Old Pai had the attitude of getting to know him. One was willing to learn and the other was willing to give pointers. They had a lot of fun talking every day. The two of them heard Lin Yi's voice, but they couldn't get up to greet him due to their injuries. Old Pai, on the other hand, was much better. He quickly sat up when he heard Lin Yi's voice. Mr. Lin, you're back. Old Pai, just lie down. We're family now, no need to be so polite. Lin Yi waved his hand. I'll take a look at you first. I'm not in a rush, it's Lil Wu. His injuries are more serious than mine, can you take a look at him? Old Pai waved his hand. He was a sky class and his injuries weren't as serious as Qintian's. Naturally, he wouldn't let Lin Yi take a look first. Sure. Lin Yi didn't reject it, he could tell who was more heavily injured, Qintian or Old Pai. Lin Yi put his hand on Qintian's meridians and started channeling the second stage of the art of dragon mastery. Qintian didn't resist, since he didn't need to do anything during the healing process. He just needed to quietly enjoy the feeling of being healed. This wasn't the first time Qintian let Lin Yi heal him, and he was familiar with it. He wasn't worried at all. Last time, his injuries were worse than this and he almost became a cripple, but he recovered just the same. Qintian didn't think it would be a problem for him to recover. This was the first time Jishan and Old Pai saw Lin Yi heal someone. Lin Yi seemed to be doing it easily. He just put his hand on Qintian's meridians, and Qintian's complexion improved at a speed visible to the naked eye. Qintian had been lying on the bed for many days, but this kind of injury wasn't something that could be healed just by lying on the bed for a long time. Other than feeling a little better, his injuries didn't change at all. But now, Qintian's face had magically turned from pale to rosy. Soon he looked no different from a normal person. This miraculous situation made Jishan and Old Pai gasp in amazement. The two looked at each other and saw the shock and astonishment in each other's eyes. They thought that Lin Yi knew how to heal, but he only used some herbs and acupuncture to heal. Even if he could heal, there wouldn't be any results in a short period of time. But now it seemed that this wasn't the case at all. Lin Yi had healed Qintian with ease. In fact, Lin Yi had healed Qintian for a long time, but in the eyes of Jishan and Old Pai, it was extremely short. When Qintian jumped up from the bed and appeared in front of them, full of vigor, the two's knowledge of martial arts was completely overturned. Bossie's healed? Jishan looked at Qintian in disbelief as he asked carefully. It seemed like nothing had happened. All right, it's your grandpa's turn. Where's your brother? You didn't bring him along? Lin Yi asked. Chapter 23-25. And let them come. Elder Pai's injuries aren't as serious as Qintian's, so he'll be healed soon, Lin Yi said. Okay, I'll call them now. Jishan was surprised and happy. Lin Yi, on the other hand, checked Elder Pai's pulse. This was the first time Elder Pai was being healed by Lin Yi, and he was a little nervous. He looked at Lin Yi and asked carefully, Mr. Lin, do you need me to do anything? How can I help you? You don't need anything, just lie down. With that, he started using the second stage of the art of dragon mastery to heal Elder Pai. Old Man Pai obeyed and didn't do anything. After a while, he felt a warm current flowing into his body from his meridians. This warm current flowed along his meridians to his wounds and began to nourish them. Soon, Old Man Pai could even feel the injuries in his body miraculously healing. This situation shocked him. Was this the legendary True Qi healing? Wasn't it said that only House Sun could do this? Why was Lin Yi able to do it as well? Besides, House Sun seemed to have a limit on the number of people they could heal. They could only heal one person, but Lin Yi could heal many people? Old Pai's mind was running wild, but he was shocked inwardly. The Hidden House Hans, it was no wonder they were under Lin Yi's command so early on. Hidden House Han wasn't stupid either. If Lin Yi didn't have the strength and ability, would they be willing to be his follower? And now, Elder Pai felt that it was the right decision for House Pai to join Lin Yi. Practitioners like them couldn't guarantee that they wouldn't get injured, and with Lin Yi here he was like a mobile sanatorium, able to heal wounds directly. This was a guarantee of life. Plus, this was just a small part of what Lin Yi had shown. Lin Yi probably had a lot more to offer. During the hidden house meeting, Elder Pai felt that Lin Yi wasn't someone to be trifled with. Otherwise he wouldn't have been able to win so many matches. Done. Just as Old Man Pai was letting his imagination run wild, Lin Yi's words brought him back to reality, but then he was stunned again. That's it? Qintian's injuries looked serious, but Elder Pai didn't know much about it and didn't check it himself. However, he was well aware of the severity of his injuries. To put it bluntly, if he didn't recover properly he would be crippled. However, Lin Yi actually healed him in such a short period of time. Old Pai quickly checked his injuries and it was just as Lin Yi said. His injuries were all healed and there were no more wounds left. Really? Old Man Pai took a while to react, surprised and happy. Elder Pai, I've already told you that boss can heal us. You didn't believe me. Do you believe me now? Qintian had gotten used to it by now, practicing some of the physical martial arts that Old Man Pai taught him. Yeah, only after experiencing it firsthand would I know how amazing Mr. Lin's medical skills are. Old Man Pai sighed. It seems like I'm still a little narrow-minded. As they were talking, Pai Jishan came back with Elder Wu Gonggao behind him. Gonggao was a little embarrassed when he saw Lin Yi. When Lin Yi was in dire straits and Chu Pingzhan got into the car accident, Gonggao cut off his allowance and told him to stay away from Lin Yi. If it wasn't for Qintian's insistence, Gonggao wouldn't have been able to do anything about it. House Wu and Lin Yi would have broken off already. This was similar to Elder Sun's situation. Sun Jingyi was in dire straits and she had just sold her company with Qintian, and her bank account was frozen by her family. Mr. Lin? Gonggao smiled sheepishly, not daring to look at Lin Yi in the eye. He went to the hotel to look after Pai Jihai, and Elder Pai taught his grandson martial arts every day. Gonggao didn't have anything to do, so he volunteered to go to the hotel. Lin Yi nodded. He was Qintian's grandfather after all, and Lin Yi couldn't say much about it. Qintian was very loyal to him and Gonggao was just trying to protect himself. Lin Yi didn't mind. Elder Wu, Qintian has recovered. Go talk to him first, I'll check on Jihai's injuries. All right. Gonggao replied, a little embarrassed. He lowered his head and went to check on his grandson. Qintian didn't know whether to laugh or cry at his grandpa's reaction, but he was still his grandpa, and it was best for him to face him in the family. Qintian couldn't just throw a tantrum. Grandpa, you saw it, right? I made the right choice. Don't be blinded by what looks like. Qintian, you were right, I'm getting old and I can't see the problem anymore. Gonggao sighed. I'll have to rely on you to take care of House Wu in the mundane world. I know that the position of the head of House Wu won't be able to keep you. With the speed you're improving with Mr. Lin, you'll reach Sky Class sooner or later. I just hope that you'll be able to help Qintian when you're 100 years. That kid is a little smart and cunning, but I still need to help him become the head of the house. I understand, Grandpa. Don't worry, I'll take care of my brother. Qintian nodded. In truth, Qintian didn't care about the position of head of House Wu anymore. His status had already exceeded that of a mundane noble house. Lin Yi had already started treating Jihai's injuries. Jihai's injuries weren't really serious at all, it was just that the pure qi from the purple electric beast had been injected into his body. This qi was similar to the qi in Lin Yi's body, a type of pure qi from the heaven and earth. However, Jihai wasn't a spiritual practitioner, and couldn't refine the qi in his body. Even spiritual practitioners had to absorb qi through their qi-hai acupoint, and this qi that was forcefully injected into his body couldn't be refined. Chapter 23-26. Lin Yi could inject his qi into someone's body, but he could only seal it with a silver needle. He couldn't do it with his hands. It seemed like he should let Skybolt Pig and the Wind Lightning Purple Electric Beast try it out. Let's see how this guy did it. If Lin Yi could learn it, he'd be invincible. He'd just have to inject some qi into his opponent and he'd be invincible. But Lin Yi was just thinking about it. Since ancient times, there were so many cultivators who had contracted spiritual beasts. Were they all idiots? Didn't they think of this? It seemed like it couldn't be done at all. Lin Yi shook his head and started to help Pai Jihai refine the purple electric beast's qi. But only the purple electric beast's qi could be refined by Lin Yi so easily. If it was someone else's qi, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to do it so easily. Lin Yi could directly absorb this qi for his own use, but others like the fire poison qi Lin Yi couldn't. He could only use his chi to force it out of the body. That was more troublesome. It's done. Lin Yi healed Pai Jihai in a shorter time. It was only a few seconds and he let go of Pai Jihai's pulse. Ah, it's done? Pai Jishan and Elder Pai's eyes widened. This was too fast, right? Although they had accepted the fact that Lin Yi healed them quickly, it was already fast enough before. Now it seemed even faster? Pai Jihai's injury had been treated by the hidden house Pai, and even Zhao Yaowang couldn't do anything. How could Lin Yi do it in a few seconds? Lin Yi nodded. It's nothing to begin with, just that the purple lightning beast injected some pure energy into it. Pai Jishan and Elder Pai were speechless. This was nothing, then what did it mean? After all, this was a situation where many people were powerless. However, Pai Jihai's next moan let them know that Pai Jihai was completely healed. Pai Jihai climbed up from the stretcher with a confused face. He rubbed his eyes and said, "Where am I? The competition is over? Lin Yi, why are you here?" Pai Jihai didn't know what had happened after the Hidden House Summit ended. He had just woken up and saw that Lin Yi, his enemy, was also there, so he was naturally wary and hostile. "Jihai, don't be rude." Elder Pai was shocked by Jihai's words. "This Mr. Lin is your savior. Without him you'd be dead already. He's also someone that our house Pai has to respect and obey." "Yeah, Jihai, I've already acknowledged Lin Yi as my boss. You're my brother, you should call him boss too." Pai Jishan added. Ah. Pai Jihai was shocked. How come his big brother and grandpa treated Lin Yi so differently after he woke up? Wait, did they just say that Lin Yi was their savior? Pai Jihai thought back to what had happened. During the Spirit Beast competition, the purple lightning beast injected a strand of chi into his body, and then he fainted. Could it be that Lin Yi helped him? Pai Jihai was obsessed with martial arts and didn't talk much, but that didn't mean he was stupid. From the current situation, it seemed like it was the case. Pai Jihai was still puzzled. Grandpa and Big Brother really let bygones be bygones? But their expressions didn't seem to be fake. Pai Jihai was a sensible person, so he quickly bowed to Lin Yi and said, "Thank you, Mr. Lin, for saving my life. Call him boss." Pai Jishan slapped Pai Jihai and said. Although Pai Jishan's martial arts wasn't as strong as Pai Jihai's, the two brothers were very close. They didn't fight against each other. They had been like this since they were young. Haha, no rush. Lin Yi waved his hand, indicating that Jishan didn't need to force it. He just woke up, let him rest for a bit. "Okay, thank you, boss," Pai Jishan quickly said. "Right, Elder Pai, Wu Qintian is an earth class, but he doesn't have a suitable technique." Lin Yi turned to Elder Pai. "Wu Qintian belongs to House Wu, but he practices the external Iron Fist arts, similar to your Hidden House Pai's arts. Can you help him find a technique?" Normally, common houses didn't have any Earth-class masters, so there wouldn't be any Earth-class techniques. Even the strongest common house Yu Huoxing didn't have a technique, so he went to the Hidden House Yu to practice. But when Lin Yi met him, the Hidden House Yu didn't give him a technique yet. "Well, that's easy. We're on the same side now and I don't need to hide anything. Our Hidden House Pai's technique is called Heaven and Earth Fist, and it's perfect for Wu Qintian. He'll be able to learn it right away." Elder Pai said happily after hearing Lin Yi's words. Of course, Wu Qintian is a master of both internal and external martial arts. If he can use Heaven and Earth Fist, it'll be much stronger than normal physical practitioners like us. Qintian was a little excited after hearing Old Pai's words. During this period of time he had contact with Old Pai, and he had learned a little about the ancient backing of House Pai. It was the famous Holy Fist Palace, and the Heaven and Earth Heavenly Fist was the Holy Fist Palace's special technique. Old Pai had only mastered the first 15 styles of Heaven and Earth Heavenly Fist, but for Qintian it was enough. Elder Pai used this technique to defeat the kidnappers, and Qintian was very envious. He didn't think that he would be able to learn it. Of course, Qintian knew that this was because after he healed Old Pai and Jihai, Old Pai truly saw him as one of his own, a comrade in the trenches. Old Pai did give him some pointers, but he didn't mention anything about Heaven and Earth Fist techniques. "Thank you, Elder Pai. I'll work hard, and unless Elder Pai asks me to teach it to others, I won't teach it to anyone." Qintian quickly cupped his fist. Jihai was shocked. He didn't think that his grandpa would teach Qintian the Heaven and Earth Fist. It seemed like his grandpa was really loyal to Lin Yi. Chapter 23-27. Could it be that it wasn't a coincidence that House Han was willing to become Lin Yi's vassal? Even his grandpa decided? With that in mind, Jihai wasn't conflicted anymore. His grandpa's decision was the same as House Pai's decision. Grandpa had always been a cautious person, and this decision was enough to show how bright the future would be if he followed Lin Yi. Old Pai didn't play around either. He got a pen and paper and wrote down his practitioner's arts for Qintian, not hiding a single move. He wrote down the first 15 moves and gave it to Qintian. You should have some understanding of the activation technique in these few days. Go practice in the yard later. If you don't understand anything, ask me. But I'm guessing that you'll be even stronger than Jihai. After all, you're a spiritual practitioner. Yes. Qintian accepted the practitioner's arts with joy and respect. Right, Old Pai, things like spirit gathering pills and small chi gathering pills should be something your hidden house Pai can't get, right? Lin Yi suddenly thought of this problem after listening to Old Pai's words. These kinds of pills weren't that rare in the hidden houses, unlike the common houses. You people practice spiritual arts, can't you just use pills to level up? That? Old Pai smiled bitterly. It's not hard to get. In fact, we have a lot of them in stock. If anyone from House Pai shows a bit of talent in spiritual arts and can practice chi into their body, we'll do our best to help them reach Earth class. What do you mean? You can't practice? Lin Yi asked curiously. It's very rare for a person who cultivates external techniques to be able to cultivate internal techniques. Although they have the internal techniques in their hands, they are basically useless. They can't refine chi into their bodies and they can't even cultivate internal techniques. How can they eat dawn? They're just wasting it. Old Pai smiled bitterly. Physical practitioners are rare in the first place, and our House Pai doesn't have a genius like Qintian, so none of us succeeded. I'm a genius? Qintian's eyes went wide. He'd never thought of himself as a genius. Without Lin Yi, he wouldn't be a genius at all. He was still a golden class early phase physical practitioner. However, Qintian didn't dare say anything. After all, increasing someone's strength and healing were two different things. He didn't know if Lin Yi would let him say anything, so he looked at Lin Yi. Wu Qintian, you were in the same situation before? You can't practice internal martial arts? Lin Yi asked after some thought. He didn't know this much when he leveled up Qintian. I couldn't do it before, my grandpa couldn't either. Qintian smiled bitterly. Usually, it's rare to hear that a physical practitioner can become a spiritual practitioner. Then what about spiritual first, then physical? Lin Yi didn't know there was such a saying. It's rare for them to be able to practice physical arts after cultivating spiritual arts. Old Pai smiled bitterly. Only a small number of geniuses can practice physical arts after cultivating spiritual arts first, but for these geniuses, it's the same for them. I don't know much about external martial arts, so that's how it is. Lin Yi understood. Yes, except for spiritual practitioners who don't have any achievements and want to switch to external martial arts, they usually destroy their meridians and start from scratch. Qintian suddenly thought of an example. Right, it's like Faubert? Lin Yi paused. Faubert wasn't without destruction. It was because he had no other choice but to learn internal martial arts, but the principle was the same. Wait, Wu Qintian, you said you couldn't do it before? You couldn't do physical martial arts before, but now you can? Old Pai noticed a detail in Qintian's words and quickly asked. Qintian looked at Lin Yi. Yeah, I leveled him up. Lin Yi nodded. Cough, cough, cough. Old Pai heard Lin Yi's words and started coughing. Mr. Lin. What did you say? Even Pai Jihai, who hadn't said a word, was shocked by Lin Yi's words, his eyes wide open as he looked over in disbelief. Wu Qintian's spiritual strength was boosted by me. Lin Yi said, but my current limit is Mystic Late Phase Peak. After that, you guys will have to rely on the small chi gathering pills to level up. Boss, please help me level up. I don't need to be Mystic Late Phase Peak, just Golden Class Early Phase. I'll eat some Spirit Gathering Pills, and Small Chi Gathering Pills, and I'll be able to level up. Jihai jumped in front of Lin Yi and bowed deeply. Jihai was a martial arts fanatic, and nothing was more important to him than the pursuit of martial arts. Both internal and external martial arts had always been his dream. So when Jihai heard that Lin Yi could level up, and with Qintian as an example, he willingly accepted Lin Yi as his boss. If Lin Yi could help him level up and fulfill his dream, naturally he wouldn't let go of such a rare opportunity. Haha. Lin Yi smiled. This Jihai really was a martial arts fanatic. He wasn't even this excited when Lin Yi saved his life, but this excited when he heard that he could level up. With that thought, Lin Yi couldn't help but shake his head. What's the point of eating so many pills? Isn't that a waste? If you have any extra, give me a few. Haha. Jihai scratched his head. If I can really level up to Mystic Late Phase Peak, then I'll only need one small chi gathering pill to break through to Earth class. The rest are all yours, boss. You brat, don't you think about me and your grandpa? Jishan smiled bitterly. At least leave one for each of us. Jishan. Don't talk nonsense, don't be too greedy. Old Pai frowned and kicked Jishan. Did he think that his family was a great hero? He'd only helped Lin Yi save Wang Xinyan once, and Lin Yi had already returned the favor by healing Pai Jihai's wounds. If he could level Pai Jihai up, that would be a huge gift. Pai Jishan, on the other hand, was asking for a mile? Did he want his whole family to be a dual practitioner? How was that possible? Even the Holy Fist Palace didn't have such a large internal and external martial artist team. Chapter 23-28. Wu Qintian had been with Lin Yi for a long time, and even if he didn't contribute much, he'd still put in a lot of effort. Wu Gonggao was still a mystic early-phase physical practitioner, and Lin Yi didn't even help him level up. How could the Hidden House Pai do that? I'm sorry, boss. I was a little too impatient and greedy. Jishan quickly apologized. It's normal for practitioners to pursue higher realms. How many pills do you have? Lin Yi asked. About a dozen of them? Jishan wasn't sure. These pills were precious, but the Pai people couldn't eat them, so he didn't pay much attention. He turned to Elder Pai. 15 in total, Elder Pai said. Old Pai said, in fact there are more opportunities to collect more small chi gathering pills, but I didn't do it because it's useless to collect them. It's better to collect something else. Alright, you, Jishan, Jihai and Gonggao each get one, so that's 4. I'll take 5 of the remaining 11, Lin Yi said after some thought. He didn't expect the Hidden House Pai to be so rich, to have so many small chi gathering pills. Ah. Old Pai was dumbfounded. It wasn't that Lin Yi was asking for a chi gathering pellet, but that Lin Yi was saying that he was going to level up his whole family. This was something that Elder Pai couldn't accept. Wasn't this happiness a little too fast? Even if Lin Yi asked for all of them and asked him to collect them, Elder Pai would have been more than willing. If it wasn't for Lin Yi, even 100 of them wouldn't be enough to help his family become an Earth-class early-phase spiritual practitioner, let alone 15. Mr. Lin, this seems like a loss, right? Elder Pai asked carefully. Loss? Lin Yi was surprised. He thought that Old Pai was saying that it was a loss for him to pay 5 small chi gathering pills, but it didn't look like that. Lin Yi immediately understood what he was thinking. He smiled and said, I see you as one of my own. In the future when I go out, I'll need you to protect the people around me. So if you don't improve your strength, I won't be at ease. Then, it would be impolite of us to refuse. Old Pai said excitedly. How long will it take to level up? Mr. Lin, why don't you level up Jihai first and I'll go back and get the lesser chi gathering pills? Have someone send it over. You'll be gone for too long. Lin Yi said, if everything goes as expected, the 4 of you will all be mystic late phase peak by tomorrow morning. By tomorrow morning? Old Pai, Pai Jishan and Pai Jihai were all shocked. If Lin Yi said that he could raise someone to mystic late phase peak by tomorrow morning, they would be shocked, but Lin Yi said that it was 4 people. This made them freeze. If there are no accidents, it'll be fine by tomorrow morning. Qintian had experienced the feeling of his strength increasing firsthand. Mr. Lin, you've really shocked me. Old Pai smiled bitterly and shook his head. It seems like what we know about you is just the tip of the iceberg. I understand now. No wonder Han Xiaopa of the Hidden House didn't level up before, but suddenly increased his strength right before the Hidden House Summit. It seems like it's all thanks to you, Mr. Lin. I wouldn't dare take credit for it, but it was me. Lin Yi didn't deny it and nodded. It seems like this Pai Jishan making you his boss was the best decision he's ever made in his life. Old Pai sighed and looked at Qintian with envy. This guy was just a disciple of a common noble house, but he was doing so well with Lin Yi. Even in terms of seniority, Jishan had to call him Tian Bro. After all, he was Lin Yi's follower. Ah, that's right, I have foresight. Jishan said proudly. Those chi gathering pills will take all 15 of them, we don't have much use for the rest. Mr. Lin can decide how to use them, Old Pai said. If you need more, I'll get someone to collect more. It's fine, this is enough. Lin Yi wanted to give one back to Han Xiaopa, Lingshan, Yutian, Qikuan, and Faubert, making it 5, but he didn't expect Old Pai to give him so many. Haha, we don't have any use for it. Old Pai waved his hand. Plus, we've already taken advantage of you. If we do as you say, Mr. Lin, we'll be on the same side from now on. These things will all belong to you. Alright then. Lin Yi didn't push it. If he had more, he could give some to Tianlong and the others. After all, Tianlong was too weak to fight against the Red Conch. He was Xiao Xiao's father. If anything happened to him, Lin Yi wouldn't be able to answer to Xiao Xiao. House Wu doesn't have anything special. The one who felt the most guilty was Gong Gao, Chen Tian's grandpa. He felt like he'd let Lin Yi down. When Lin Yi was in trouble, Gong Gao didn't give him a single cent, and even froze Chen Tian's allowance. It made him feel very guilty. Don't say that. You have a good grandson and that's enough. Lin Yi said faintly. He didn't give Gong Gao any face, but it was the truth. Gong Gao blushed, feeling a little ashamed. He looked at Chen Tian awkwardly and smiled. Thank you, boss. Chen Tian said seriously. Old Pai sent his family to get the small qi gathering pills, and Lin Yi started leveling them up one by one, starting from Zhihai. He had nothing to do while waiting for the Miss and Shu to finish school, and it wasn't even noon yet. It was enough for the two to step into Mystic Late Phase Peak from now until they finished school. Out of all of them, Zhihai was the most impatient. They didn't fight with him, and Lin Yi naturally helped him level up first. You don't need to do anything later, just circulate your house's practitioner's arts. I'll transfer the qi you need from your meridians. Lin Yi said to Zhihai. Chapter 23-29. The two of them started, and soon Pai Zhihai broke through to the early stage of golden class from a person without any internal strength. Pai Zhihai's face was suddenly full of shock. Wasn't this too fast? It was not that he had not studied internal cultivation before. On the contrary, Pai Zhihai would study and experiment when he was free, but there was no progress every time. As a martial arts addict, he naturally wanted to become a master of both internal and external cultivation. Therefore, this kind of qi sense that he wanted to refine qi into his body so many times actually appeared, and he quickly reached the early stage of golden class, which made him feel like he was dreaming. Although at the moment when he was promoted to the early stage of golden class, there was a trace of pain in his body caused by the bottleneck, but then it was quickly overwhelmed by the excitement of this upgrade. Of course, at this moment, Pai Zhihai was not the only one who was shocked and excited. Pai Zhishan, Old Master Pai, and even Wu Gonggao, who already knew that Wu Qintian was promoted to a master by Lin Yi, were all shocked at this moment. It was self-evident what this meant for the masters of external cultivation. This kind of opportunity, even for the masters of the Holy Fist Palace, was hard to come by. The few of them looked at each other and decided to keep this a secret. This was not only to protect Lin Yi, but also to save himself trouble. Even if Old Master Pai's backer was the Holy Fist Palace, he would not talk about it. After all, many of the geniuses of the Holy Fist Palace, as long as they could cultivate qi sense, they would train this person to be a master of both internal and external cultivation at all costs. However, Pai Zhihai's strength was still rapidly increasing, and soon he broke through to the middle stage of golden class, followed by the late stage of golden class. This kind of speed, even if it was taking elixirs, no one had ever heard of it. Even if he took elixirs, he still needed time to refine them, right? But Lin Yi simply skipped the time to refine the elixirs, and directly upgraded Pai Zhihai at the speed of a rocket. Old Master Pai looked at Pai Zhishan more and more kindly. He was very happy that Pai Zhishan could get to know Lin Yi and become Lin Yi's follower. It was really a blessing for House Pai. At 3 or 4 o'clock in the afternoon, Pai Zhihai successfully became a master of the peak late stage of mystic class, and had qi in his body. Pai Zhihai couldn't believe it. But what surprised Lin Yi was that when Lin Yi continued to upgrade Pai Zhishan, Pai Zhihai actually did not take a small qi gathering pill and broke through to the early stage of earth class. This reminded Lin Yi of Qintian's situation. Qintian started from the inside to the outside, leveling up his spiritual style first, then his external style. But Pai Zhihai's external style was already at earth class early phase peak, and according to this principle, it made sense that Pai Zhihai would be able to break through to earth class early phase spiritual style by himself. But Zhihai's speed was a bit too fast. Lin Yi had just finished upgrading him, and he broke through on his own. Of course, this was also because Lin Yi didn't need to use any stamina to level him up, and after leveling up, he had enough stamina to break through to the early stage of earth class. This situation shocked Lin Yi. Qintian's situation was that he leveled up his physical strength first, but Pai Zhihai leveled up his spiritual strength on his own. There was a problem here, and that was that the side effects of Lin Yi's leveling up of others didn't appear on Zhihai. After Lin Yi helped others level up because of the purity of the qi in the air, he couldn't level up on his own. He could only take elixirs or go to places with more qi. But Zhihai broke through on his own. Could it be that this situation didn't apply to masters of both spiritual and spiritual strength? Or was it because Zhihai's physical strength had already broken through the barrier of the previous level, and that was why his spiritual strength could continue to level up? Of course, once Zhihai's spiritual strength reached the peak early stage of earth class, he'd be able to see if there really was no limit. If Zhihai could still continue training then then it would prove that the side effect of Lin Yi's leveling up of others didn't apply to masters of both spiritual and spiritual strength. If Jihai couldn't continue training and could only focus on physical strength, then the side effect still existed. It was just that masters of both spiritual and spiritual strength were special, and this side effect was set at the highest point of their body. But even if there was a side effect, as long as the physical strength could continue to level up, then the spiritual strength would continue to increase as well. However, this was still a great advantage compared to normal inner sect experts. Can you still break through? Lin Yi looked at Jihai and asked. I can't, I just charged up and broke through naturally. But if I break through again I won't be able to. Jihai smiled bitterly. Boss, the spiritual strength you gave me was at the peak late stage peak of mystic class. I was just one step away from leveling up and that's why I broke through. But now, I haven't even stabilized my earth class early stage spiritual strength yet, how can I break through? Lin Yi nodded, but this made things a lot more normal. Otherwise, Lin Yi would have thought that Jihai was a martial arts maniac. But even so, Jihai was still much stronger than the others. Jishan hadn't finished leveling up yet, and when Meng Yao and the others were about to leave school, Lin Yi had just leveled him up to the peak early stage of mystic class. But Lin Yi wasn't in a rush, so he decided to stop and continue at night. Lin Yi's way of leveling up didn't need to be done in one go. As long as one's strength was lower than Lin Yi's, one could level up at any time. There was no time limit and so Lin Yi paused. I'll go pick up the miss from school first, I'll continue at night. Okay. Pai Jishan nodded happily. Jihai and Qintian on the other hand volunteered, Boss, we'll go with you? It's fine, the car can't fit that many people. If there's any danger I can handle it myself. You guys rest first. Lin Yi didn't need them at all. If he met an opponent, as long as it wasn't a sky class, Lin Yi was confident that he could hold his own. If it was a coward like the third head of the house, it wouldn't be strange if he killed him. Since Lin Yi said so, they didn't force it. Lin Yi drove his jeep to the parking lot of Donghai Engineering University and waited. Chapter 23:30. Pai Jishan had been picking them up from the parking lot for the past few days, and he'd come early every day without fail. Today Pai Jishan didn't show up and Meng Yao was a little surprised. She was wondering if she should give him a call when she saw Yushu running towards a black jeep. Meng Yao's heart tightened when she saw the familiar plate number on the jeep. Was he back? She shook her head with a bitter smile, thinking that Shu had really sharp eyes. She'd spotted Lin Yi's car right away, and she was still looking for Pai Jishan's BMW X5M. Shield bro, you're back. I've missed you for Yao Yao. Yushu opened the door to the front passenger seat and got in. She then turned to Meng Yao. Yao Yao, do you want me to give you the front passenger seat? You sit. Meng Yao was too embarrassed to sit in front. She shook her head and walked over, smiling at Lin Yi. You're back? Yeah, I'm back. Lin Yi smiled as well. He didn't know why, but Lin Yi felt that there was an indescribable connection between him and the Mississippi. One look, one smile, and they understood each other's concern and longing for each other. Wow, Yao Yao, you and Shield bro seem to have a dick. Since when did you two become so in sync? Yushu said with an evil smile as she looked at Meng Yao and Lin Yi. Meng Yao's face reddened as she glared at Yushu. It's usually the thief calling the thief. Yeah, someone said it's the thief calling the thief. Yushu said. Can't you be a little more stupid at times like this? Meng Yao was speechless. Shu's never been stupid. Yushu said. Alright, you guys get in. Lin Yi felt a very familiar and warm feeling as he looked at the two arguing. It was as if this was the kind of life he'd wanted. For the sake of Lin Yi, I won't argue with you. Missy got into the back of the car. See, I told you there's a JQ, right? Why else would you give Shield bro face instead of Shu, your sister of 10 years? Yushu said with a look of understanding. You. The miss felt a sense of defeat. Arguing with Yushu was just asking for trouble. These days it's all thanks to you guys. A lot of things have happened at home. Thank you. Lin Yi smiled and interrupted their quarrel. You have to thank Sister Yao Yao. She was the one who helped us. Yushu said. She's always telling old Pai and Pai Jishan not to worry, saying that you're coming back soon, but Shu always knew that Shield bro never called. Meng Yao's face reddened even more. She didn't expect Shu to find out so early. But judging from how Shu found out when she was on the phone with Lin Yi, Shu really did have the potential to be a spy. Nothing could escape her eyes and ears. It's my fault. Thank you. Lin Yi didn't expect Meng Yao to be so troubled at home, but it made sense. Old Pai and Pai Jishan didn't know what he was capable of, so it was normal for them to be worried. Only Qintian knew that his injuries could be healed, but old Pai wouldn't believe him 100%. It's nothing. Mengyao looked at Han Xiaoqiao, who wasn't far away. Han Jingjing is coming, let's not talk about this. Mengyao rarely told Han Jingjing about these things. Although Lin Yi seemed to trust Han Jingjing a lot, Mengyao still felt that there was something wrong with Han Jingjing. She couldn't tell if it was evil, but she just felt that Han Jingjing was a bit weird. Han Jingjing didn't see her BMW X5M when she arrived at the parking lot, but saw her brother standing beside a Jeep. She paused, realizing that it was Lin Yi. She ran over excitedly and got in the car, sitting in the middle of the second row. Lin Yi, bro, you're back. Yeah, I just got back today. How is it? Any progress on the pill refining side? Lin Yi asked. Speaking of this, Jingjing has a slight headache. Is Jingjing an idiot? Every day I can only refine a second-grade elixir. After that I'll feel weak and exhausted. I have to rest for a night before I can continue refining elixirs. Han Jingjing put on a long face and said with some annoyance, even if Jingjing wanted to use scientific alchemy to refine a few more batches of pills at once, I couldn't succeed because refining more batches of pills requires more physical strength. Jingjing couldn't hold on and wasted 2 batches of materials. That's fine. So if I make 1 a day, can I guarantee 100% success rate? Lin Yi asked. Yeah, if I don't succeed then I'd be an idiot. Han Jingjing nodded. That's already very impressive. Even if a normal Tier 2 alchemist is prepared to refine a Tier 2 elixir pill, it's still impossible for them to succeed 100% of the time. Lin Yi was disappointed, but Han Jingjing's success rate was close to 100%. What was there to be dissatisfied about? Is that so? Then it seems that Jingjing can do it. It's just that she doesn't have enough stamina. Han Jingjing sighed. If she had enough stamina, she could use scientific methods to make multiple pills at once. Oh. Lin Yi suddenly thought of a way to solve Han Jingjing's problem. What if he and Han Jingjing worked together and Han Jingjing was making pills while he was behind her, supplying and replenishing her qi? Wouldn't that solve the problem? Lin Yi, bro, do you have a way? Han Jingjing saw Lin Yi's thoughtful expression and asked quickly. Yeah, I have a way. I'll ask you to test it tonight. Lin Yi said. Yeah. Han Jingjing nodded happily. Lin Yi, bro, is better than Jingjing. You thought of a solution as soon as you came back. You're amazing. Yushu, on the other hand, curled her lips. This Han Jingjing was too good at acting cute. She didn't even blush when she said those words. Even if she liked Shield Bro, she wouldn't flatter him like this. Han Jingjing sat beside Mengyao, and Han Xiaoqiao sat beside Han Jingjing. Lin Yi started the car and drove out of the school towards the direction of Shueshang district. Chapter 23:31. Yao, this Han Jingjing. How should I put it? Do you think she's really dumb or is she just acting dumb? Yushu whispered after entering the villa. Even you can't tell? Mengyao looked at Yushu. Aren't you all-powerful, Shu? I think she's all-powerful, Jingjing. She's able to come up with all sorts of weird techniques like scientific pill making. She really isn't a normal person. Yushu said. That's right. Who cares? She seems to be very helpful to Lin Yi. Whether she's dumb or just acting dumb like you, it doesn't matter. Mengyao shrugged. I'm not acting dumb, I'm not dumb in the first place. Yushu said. That Han Jingjing isn't dumb in the first place. Mengyao said. Alright. Yushu's question was a waste of time. Qintian, Gonggao, Zhishan, Zhihai, and Elder Pai all came out to welcome Mengyao and Yushu. They weren't in a rush when they heard that Lin Yi had gone next door. With the leveling speed Lin Yi gave them, there was no need to rush at all. Even if they couldn't level up by tomorrow morning, they could still do it tomorrow. As for why Lin Yi went next door, Mengyao didn't tell them. She didn't tell anyone that Han Jingjing knew how to concoct elixirs. They were Lin Yi's followers, but it was better if fewer people knew about it. Lin Yi would have said it himself and Mengyao naturally wouldn't have said anything. Han Xiaoqiao went upstairs to study after the group entered the villa. The guy was a complete bookworm and he didn't care about what Han Jingjing was doing at all. He didn't even ask about it. Lin Yi, Han Jingjing and Han Xiaoqiao went upstairs to study. What pill did you waste and what did you succeed? Lin Yi asked. 4 sets of materials for the minor reversion pill were wasted, but 1 was successfully refined. As for the meridian opening pill, 2 sets of materials were successfully refined. You haven't used the materials for the small qi gathering pill yet? Lin Yi asked. No. Han Jingjing said. I haven't had the time to do it yet. That's good. Lin Yi nodded. The circulation pill and meridian unblocking pill didn't have much use for Lin Yi. Lin Yi's Art of Dragon Mastery could achieve the effects of these 2 pills, and Lin Yi could achieve the effects that they couldn't. So their usefulness was a little accumulated. But the lesser pills were different. Lin Yi had a lot of people around him, and while the hidden house pie had 11 of them, if Han Jingjing could make all 5 of them, Lin Yi could create more Earth-class masters. By the way, big brother Lin Yi, what did you think of before? Han Jingjing asked. Now, simulate the process of refining 2 pills, and then I will help you infuse true qi, see if it works. Lin Yi didn't dare let Han Jingjing directly use the materials. Lin Yi was afraid that this method wouldn't work, and the materials would be wasted. He still had 3 portions of the meridian opening pill, but if they were wasted, then he could only use the materials for the lesser qi gathering pill. That would be a waste. Okay, but if you simulate it, you won't be able to see the actual effects. It won't be of much use. It'll just waste your energy, Han Jingjing said. That's fine. I just want to see if my true qi can be used by you. Lin Yi said. If my true qi can be used by you, then you can use the actual materials to test it. Okay, Jingjing, shall we start now? Han Jingjing picked up the 2nd level cauldron and asked Lin Yi. Yes, let's start. Lin Yi nodded. His hands clasped Han Jingjing's wrist where the meridians were, and Han Jingjing began to condense the alchemy fire, preparing to simulate alchemy. Soon, Han Jingjing's alchemy fire was condensed, and then she began to simulate alchemy. Lin Yi began to circulate the 2nd level of the art of dragon mastery, preparing to replenish the true qi in Han Jingjing's body. But soon Lin Yi discovered a problem. That was, Han Jingjing's body didn't absorb his true qi at all. The 2nd level of the art of dragon mastery only circulated in Lin Yi's body, and the true qi was also limited to circulating in Lin Yi's body. It didn't enter Han Jingjing's body at all. Big brother Lin Yi, there's no true qi? Han Jingjing also felt this. Her alchemy was completely according to the formula and timetable made on the tablet. She didn't use her own wood attribute to sense the changes in the medicinal herbs in the cauldron, so she could be distracted and talk. Yes, there's really no. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. When you're refining, can you circulate the mantra of the alchemist's cultivation at the same time? This can't be. Han Jingjing shook her head. Jingjing can only circulate the mantra of condensing the alchemy fire. I can't circulate the mantra of the cultivation at the same time. Then it probably won't work. Lin Yi let go of Han Jingjing's hands and sighed with some depression. Only when you circulate the mantra of the cultivation, I can input true qi into you. When you circulate other mantras, my true qi won't be automatically absorbed by you. It seems that my idea can't be realized. Previously, Lin Yi was still happy for his sudden idea, but now that he had tried it, he found that it didn't work, which made Lin Yi very disappointed. Then do I still need to simulate it? Han Jingjing asked. I'll try to input it directly from your Qihai acupoint, but I may have to touch your abdomen. Lin Yi hesitated and said. Oh, okay. Han Jingjing nodded. That, you are a girl. It's okay if I touch you like this, right? Lin Yi saw that Han Jingjing didn't seem to understand that men and women shouldn't touch each other, so he added a sentence. Of course it's okay. It's okay for big brother Lin Yi to touch, but others can't. Han Jingjing said naturally. You. Lin Yi really couldn't understand why Han Jingjing, who suddenly appeared and became his neighbor, would be so close to him. It seems that what I said is right. She still admires me. It's a bit weird. However, Lin Yi could also feel from Han Jingjing's eyes that she didn't have any malice toward him, and she really didn't have any cultivation strength. She didn't seem like an enemy spy. Chapter 23:32. So, if she really was sent by his opponent, then he had to thank his opponent. Thank him so much, he knew he didn't know how to concoct elixirs, so he sent him a mobile cauldron. Lin Yi saw that Han Jingjing's expression was not strange, so he simply did not pretend. He directly pressed his hand on Han Jingjing's Qihai acupoint and continued to run the 2nd layer of the art of dragon mastery. However, the result this time still disappointed Lin Yi. Han Jingjing still couldn't absorb Lin Yi's true qi. In other words, Lin Yi's assumption was a complete failure. What's wrong, brother Lin Yi, did you fail again? Han Jingjing saw Lin Yi's disappointed look and asked quickly. And it failed again. Lin Yi nodded. It seems that this assumption is not good. I can only give up. It doesn't matter. Brother Lin Yi is thinking of a way for Jingjing. Jingjing is already very grateful. If it doesn't work this time, there will be a next time. Jingjing's alchemy can't be successful in one try. Han Jingjing was not disappointed to Lin Yi. It seems that it is impossible for me to use my true qi to assist you in alchemy. Lin Yi shook his head and said, you can only find ways to improve your strength as soon as possible. You are now an Earth Stage master. I guess the Earth Stage is also the limit of a 2nd-grade alchemist. Even if you can condense a 3rd-grade alchemy fire, you can't refine a third-grade alchemy pill. Brother Linny, you don't have to worry too much. You want to sacrifice yourself to help Jingjing alchemy. Jingjing is already very grateful. Han Jingjing comforted. Sacrifice myself? After listening to Han Jingjing's words, Lin Yi suddenly had a flash of inspiration in his mind. He seemed to think of something. Yes, sacrifice yourself. Lin Yi was very familiar with this sentence. He seemed to have heard it once and it seemed to be very important. Yes. Lin Yi suddenly remembered what he thought of. That was when he was hiding in the Han family scripture pavilion. Lin Yi saw an ancient supplementary martial art. According to Old Han's introduction, that martial art could replenish energy and true qi for the people around him, but at the cost of one's own strength and true qi. It was a martial art that sacrificed oneself to help others. At that time Lin Yi felt that this martial art should be of some use. Moreover, using it on Lin Yi's own body, the side effects weren't that big. This was because whether Lin Yi used up his true qi or dropped a level, he could use the Jade Space's energy to replenish and recover in the shortest amount of time. This was completely different from others. He had a unique advantage. However, Lin Yi's mind was on the Hidden Family Summit. Although he had copied this martial art, he didn't think too much about it. Later, because he accompanied Sun Jingyi to the Wulonghout Mountains, he didn't have time to study it. Now that he thought about it, this martial art was simply tailor-made for him and Han Jingjing. After he cultivated this martial art, he could use it to restore his own strength and true qi. However, he didn't know under what state would his own people be able to accept this martial art? Did he have to circulate the mantra he had learned during cultivation, or could he accept it in his normal state or in a battle state? Would they be able to accept it actively or passively? Thinking about this, Lin Yi didn't want to stay a moment longer. He wanted to go back and take a closer look at the martial art that was copied in the Hidden Han family and see if Han Jingjing could use it. Jingjing, you really are my little lucky star. You really woke me up with a single sentence and reminded me. Lin Yi was so happy that he almost hugged Han Jingjing and kissed her. He stretched out his hand and put it down resentfully. I have a martial art that can probably solve this situation. I have to go back and study it. Don't refine pills for these 2 days. Wait for me to study it first before continuing. Okay, but Jingjing didn't do anything. It was all Lin Yi Gij's ideas. Han Jingjing never took credit for herself. Jingjing, you really helped me a lot. Lin Yi smiled. I was so excited just now that I almost hugged you and kissed you. Really? Did Jingjing help? Han Jingjing didn't say anything on the surface, but there was a faint but imperceptible disappointment in her eyes. Okay, I'll go back first. You should rest early too. Lin Yi said to Han Jingjing. His mind was focused on going back and looking at the martial art, so he didn't see the abnormality in Han Jingjing's eyes. And then Jingjing will sleep for a few days. I haven't slept in for a long time. Jingjing, go to bed early today. Han Jingjing said she was sleepy and said with a yawn. It seemed that recently she was really tired. Every day she studied and refined second-grade medicinal pills. She had exhausted her energy to the limit. Have a good rest. Lin Yi nodded and said goodbye to Han Jingjing. He quickly returned to his villa. Until he left Han Jingjing's villa, Lin Yi was still a little confused. This Han Jingjing, the timing of her appearance and the help she gave him were too strange. He hoped it was really not a bad thing. After all, humans weren't plants. How could they be emotionless? Lin Yi had been interacting with Han Jingjing for a while now, and he was starting to like this girl who was terrifyingly smart and heartless. When Lin Yi returned to the villa, Wu Qintian, Wu Gonggao, Pai Jishan, Pai Jihai, and Elder Pai were all chatting in the living room. The Miss and Shu weren't there. Mr. Lin, boss, you're back. When they saw Lin Yi, they all stood up to talk to Lin Yi. Even the Sky-class Elder Pai didn't hold back in front of Lin Yi. He didn't act like a junior, but the head of a vassal house of Lin Yi. You don't have to be so polite in the future. Lin Yi smiled bitterly. Wu Qintian, you weren't like this before. Why are you playing these games now that there are so many people? Didn't I think it would be more formal when there are more people? Qintian scratched his head and turned to Elder Pai. Elder Pai, boss is a nice guy, no need to be so courteous. What he cares about is whether or not we're doing things for him sincerely, not etiquette. Where are Yao Yao and Shu? Lin Yi asked casually. The miss went upstairs. Qintian said. It's not convenient for them to go downstairs with us guys. You know it's not convenient, so why aren't you going back to your rooms? You're hogging the living room. Lin Yi didn't know whether to laugh or cry. Chapter 23:33. Lin Yi nodded and said, Pai Jishan, get ready with Elder Pai and Elder Wu. I'll help you guys level up later. I have something to do now, so I'll go back to my room first. Okay, we'll wait for you. Pai Jishan heard that Lin Yi was going to help him level up, so he quickly replied. After Lin Yi returned to his room, the first thing he did was to find the supplementary martial arts technique that he copied from the hidden Han family and study it carefully. This martial skill was called Spring Rain from the Heavens. Although it was also divided into 20 moves, there was no difference in strength between the moves of each level. The only difference was that the first move could instantly restore the physical strength and true chi of one person, the second move could restore the physical strength and true chi of two people, the third move could restore the physical strength and true chi of three people, and so on. At most, it could restore the physical strength and true chi of 20 people at once. Of course, although the number of recovery increased, the total amount of physical strength and chi recovered was still the same. It was just that it was evenly divided from one person to 2, 3, or even more. The amount of physical strength and chi recovered was completely dependent on the user's will and time. In other words, if Lin Yi wanted to, he could keep using it until his physical strength and chi were all used up. This might be a super nightmare for others, but for Lin Yi it was no problem. After all, Lin Yi was different from others. His physical strength and chi were all used up, but he could still recover quickly. This martial arts technique was really not bad, but under what circumstances could it be used? Lin Yi continued to look, but the usage conditions at the back made Lin Yi happy. Basically, it meant that there were no usage conditions. This was because this supplementary martial arts technique was active for the user, but for the recipient, it was passive. After all, even if the recipient was an enemy after the martial arts technique was used, they wouldn't be at a disadvantage. So no one would be stupid enough to let the enemy use it. And no matter what state their own people were in, whether they were fighting or doing nothing, they could still accept Lin Yi's physical strength and chi transfer. That's it. After Lin Yi finished reading, he was overjoyed. This martial skill was practically tailor-made for him and Han Jingjing. Han Jingjing was refining pills on the other side and had no stamina and chi, but Lin Yi could continuously replenish her energy. Under the situation where she didn't have to be distracted, she could unknowingly recover her stamina, allowing her to smoothly complete the process of refining pills. After confirming this, he wasn't in a rush anymore. He just needed to slowly master this technique, and he'd be able to help Han Jingjing concoct pills. What he needed to do now was to raise Pai Jishan, Elder Pai, and Wu Gonggao's strength. He left the room to see Grandma Sun, who was cleaning up the living room. She smiled when she saw Lin Yi. "Mr. Lin, I called Li Fu just now, he said he's already here." "All right." Lin Yi nodded and went to Qintian's room. The night passed peacefully, and the next morning, Pai Jishan and Elder Pai both stepped into Mystic Late Phase Peak. Although they were Mystic Late Phase Peak, they didn't have Pai Jihai's comprehension. They couldn't break through to Earth class in one go. Perhaps only someone like Pai Jihai, who only cared about martial arts, could break through in such a short amount of time. Others were busy with work. Even if old Pai was at the early phase of Sky class, he still couldn't break through to Earth class in such a short amount of time. No return for Elder Pai. Breaking through to Earth class or even higher was just a matter of time. With Pai Jihai as an example, he wasn't in a hurry to take the small chi gathering pill. It was also a matter of face. He was already a Sky class master, and if he couldn't break through to Earth class by himself, it would be too embarrassing. Pai Jishan, on the other hand, didn't have this problem. He wasn't a martial arts fanatic and he was a junior. When he realized that he couldn't break through, he took the chi gathering pill, and with Lin Yi's help, he broke through to Earth class early phase, becoming a true dual practitioner Earth class early phase master. This made Pai Jishan very happy. Leveling up was easy and fun. He didn't think that he'd be able to achieve anything in the first place. After all, his main focus was on how to develop House Pai, and as a support, Pai Jihai would be enough for House Pai. But now it seemed that leveling up was a pleasant surprise. What made Jihai the happiest was that he was able to hug onto Lin Yi's thighs. Lin Yi looked like an Earth class mid-phase master, but Lin Yi didn't have the power of an Earth class mid-phase master. If it wasn't someone close to Lin Yi, they wouldn't know about this. "Thank you, boss." Pai Jishan cupped his fist. "From now on, Jihai and I will be boss's powerful follower. We won't hesitate to climb mountains or swim seas." "And Elder Wu, it's your turn now," Lin Yi said. "It's a bit slower than expected and I had some personal matters to take care of, but you'll be able to level up soon." "No rush, no rush," Gonggao said in fear. "It all depends on Mr. Lin's time." "Then let's start now. Faubert will be here soon. Let's settle your stuff first." Lin Yi nodded. Wu Gongao was the weakest among them, and he didn't have the support of an external style. So it was hard for him to level up his internal style. Wu Gonggao's external style was still at the middle phase of the mystic class, and once he surpassed the middle phase of the mystic class, the process of leveling up would be painful. Fortunately, Gonggao was very patient. Physical practitioners like him might not be strong in other areas, but they were rare in terms of endurance. Back then, Qintian had been in great pain, but he had been able to endure it. Very quickly, Wu Gonggao's spiritual qi reached the peak of the late phase of the mystic class, but he needed to rely on the qi-gathering pill to break through. Otherwise, it would be impossible for him to break through to the earth class. Although he knew from Qintian that Lin Yi could help people level up, he was still quite shocked after experiencing it firsthand. He looked at Lin Yi, who didn't seem to be proud of himself at all, with a complicated feeling in his heart. By the time they finished, it was already 9 in the morning. But it was Saturday, so they didn't have to worry about school. Chapter 23:34. The Miss and Shu hadn't woken up yet, and even if they did, they were still playing in their bedroom. My friend will be here to discuss some things. You guys can discuss breakfast on your own, Lin Yi said. Grandma's son has something to do as well. Since Grandma's son was going to be with them, they didn't have much food to eat. Okay, no problem, we'll go buy some food now. We've been in Donghai for so long, and we haven't had a chance to walk around. Old Pai was a shrewd old man, and naturally knew that Lin Yi was avoiding them. Even if they didn't listen, it would be awkward at home, so they might as well leave. I'll call you guys after I'm done here, Lin Yi said. What he meant was, don't come back until I call you guys. No problem. Pai Jishan agreed quickly. And so, Qintian and the others didn't waste any time and left the villa. Old Pai came with his car, but it was parked in the public parking lot, and there was no more space in the villa. Mr. Lin, why is there still my business? Grandma's son asked curiously after Qintian and Pai Jishan left. It's about you and Faubert, but we can only talk about it privately. Lin Yi said, I'll go check on Skybolt Pig and Purple Thunderbolt Beast first. Call me when Faubert comes. Okay. Grandma's son nodded. She didn't know what it was, but since Lin Yi said that, it must be something important. Lin Yi walked to the villa's backyard. After Skybolt Pig came back yesterday, he went to tell Purple Thunderbolt Beast and General Wei Wu about what he saw and heard. When Lin Yi walked over, he was still excitedly talking to Purple Thunderbolt Beast and General Wei Wu. Seeing that Lin Yi had arrived, the little fellow stopped talking. However, Lin Yi could guess that it was probably talking about the Fire Lion race and the Spider race. Feng, I'll have to trouble you with Wang Xinyan's matter when I'm not here. Lin Yi walked over and rubbed the Purple Lightning Beast's head. The Purple Electric Tempest Beast smiled shyly, as if it was embarrassed by Lin Yi's politeness. Lin Yi nodded. The Purple Electric Tempest Beast was his contracted spiritual beast, so it was his duty to help him. Lin Yi naturally couldn't be arrogant, so he didn't say anything more. Instead he asked, Little Feng, how did you do it with the true qi you injected into Pai Jihai's body? Can I do it? Roar roar. The Purple Electric Tempest Beast pointed at itself and nodded. Then it pointed at Lin Yi and shook its head. What do you mean? You can do it, but I can't? Lin Yi roughly understood what the Purple Electric Tempest Beast was trying to say. Oink oink. Skybolt Pig translated for Lin Yi and started writing on the sand. Feng said that this is a special ability of spirit beasts, because their pure energy doesn't come from using their practitioner's arts. They can transfer it to others, but humans can't. Even I can't do it? Lin Yi felt that he was the special one. Roar. The Purple Electric Tempest Beast shook its head and explained to Lin Yi. It said that you can't do it either, and this kind of attack isn't very useful. Sky Thunder Pig continued to write, most of the time this kind of thing can't enter a person's body. Only when the person is an external martial artist without chi protection will it be effective. Internal martial artists with chi protection will not be able to enter their body unless they are unknowingly ambushed. However, it can only be used to ambush low-level experts. High-level experts will notice before they even get close. Moreover, not all of them are useful against physical practitioners. For example, those physical practitioners with golden bell cover and iron shirt can't inject true qi. Experts who use some special method to change the position of meridians and acupoints are also ineffective because true qi can't be injected into their bodies. So that's how it is. Seeing Skybolt Pig's translation, Lin Yi's enthusiasm decreased a lot. Most of the people Lin Yi met were internal practitioners. There were very few physical practitioners, so this ability was a little useless. Roar roar. The Purple Electric Tempest Beast nodded and roared a few more times. It said, can't your true qi bomb also hit people? Why must you learn it? Skybolt Pig translated. The true qi bomb can only hurt people and it needs to be compressed. It's a little troublesome. It's not like your true qi bomb that can make the enemy faint in pain. Linny shook his head and said. He was a little disappointed. He thought too much, but thinking about it carefully, it was normal. If the spirit beast's true chi was this powerful, wouldn't it be invincible? Lin Yi decided not to study the purple electric tempest beast's ability for now. If he had the time, he might as well study the supplementary martial skill, Heavenly Spring Rain. Shall we? Lin Yi was just about to study the supplementary martial skill when he heard Falbert's voice from behind. Falbert, you're here? Lin Yi turned around and saw Falbert and Grandma Sun standing in the mansion. Yeah, I went to an event with Mr. Chu last night and couldn't come. I came early this morning. Mr. Chu is here too. He's upstairs talking to Miss Chu. Falbert said, I heard from Luo Yin that you have something to talk to me about. Yeah, there's something I need to talk to you and Grandma Sunday. Lin Yi nodded and said, let's go to my room. Okay. Falbert didn't think that Lin Yi would have to hide something from others. Normally they could talk in the living room since Pengzhan went upstairs. But Lin Yi said to go to his room. It was a secret. Lin Yi, Falbert and Grandma Sun went to his room. Lin Yi sat on the bed while Falbert and Grandma Sun sat on the sofa in Lin Yi's room. Lin Yi gave each of them a bottle of water and said, I'll tell you this. You have to be mentally prepared. Mentally prepared? Falbert paused. He didn't think that Lin Yi would start with this. Xiao Yi, what happened? Falbert, your sect is located in the Wulonghout Mountains, right? Lin Yi didn't answer Falbert's question but asked instead. Falbert's eyes widened and looked at Lin Yi in disbelief. Xiao Yi, how did you know? I don't think I've told you about this before. Chapter 23:35. So it's true? Lin Yi had already guessed that Falbert's sect was destroyed in Wulonghout Mountains, but seeing Falbert admit it himself, Lin Yi still sighed. So, the world was just this small. That's right. Falbert nodded. Since you asked, I won't deny it. I didn't tell you before because I was afraid that you would be impulsive or leak the news. But Xiao Yi, how did you know about this place? A while ago I went out. Do you know where I went? Lin Yi asked. Of course I know you went out. Luo Yin told me on the phone, but where you went, how would I know? Li Fu was a bit puzzled. Lin Yi's sudden change in topic was too big, jumping from the previous topic to this one. Wulonghout Mountains. Lin Yi nodded and said seriously. What? You went to Wulonghout Mountains? That's near Rielida town. Why did you go there? Falbert was shocked after hearing Lin Yi's words. Why did you go there? I have to go back to a few months ago. I brought Xiao Xiao to the extreme north to seek medical help and participate in the Ice Palace's trial. Lin Yi knew that this couldn't be explained in one go. He had to start from the beginning. Although Lin Yi had told Falbert, Miss Shu and the others about the Ice Palace trial, he didn't tell them about the heaven-ranked monster. First, Lin Yi didn't think it was important. Second, Lin Yi didn't plan on keeping the map for himself. He just wanted to keep it safe for the monster, so he didn't mention this topic. But it was different now. He had to start from the first time he met the monster. What does it have to do with the Ice Palace trial? Falbert asked curiously. Just as Lin Yi thought, Falbert knew about the Ice Palace trial. After the Ice Palace trial ended, some things happened. It wasn't important at the time, so I didn't talk about it. But it has a lot to do with this matter, so I have to start from the beginning. Lin Yi said and told Falbert about the heaven-ranked monster in the cave. At first, Falbert heard Lin Yi say that there was a heaven-ranked monster in the cave. He was a bit confused. But when he heard Lin Yi say that the monster called him Li Air, and said something about escaping, Falbert's body suddenly trembled and he exclaimed, exclamation point. After that, he gave me half of the map. Lin Yi smiled bitterly and took out the half of the map and gave it to Falbert. It seemed like his guess was right, Falbert was that Li Air. Little E, the heaven-ranked monster you met is mine, it's definitely mine. Falbert took Lin Yi's map with trembling hands and looked at it. He said with more certainty, that's right, this map is the treasure map of the Wulonghout mountain range. Back then, I also had half of it. Sun Luiyue was at a loss because she couldn't remember the past. However, she also felt Uncle Fu's strange emotions. She silently hugged his arm as if she was comforting him and cheering for him. Before this, I didn't know that you two were related and didn't think in this direction. So, please forgive me for not telling you this, said Lin Yi. Little E, you didn't do anything wrong. Instead, I have to thank you for helping me and relieving the pain of my headache. Falbert waved his hand and said solemnly, also, since this map was given to you, it proves that you and him are fated. This is your fortune. This is the origin of this half of the map, said Lin Yi. Huh. Yeah, this is only half of the map. You went to the Wulonghout mountain range to look for treasure? This half of the map is useless. Falbert suddenly thought of this problem and asked curiously, The other half of the map, you probably don't have it. I probably don't have it, but just before I went to the Wulonghout mountain range I accidentally found the other half of the map. This is also the reason why I went to the Wulonghout mountain range," said Linny. "The other half of the map?" Falbert suddenly stood up. The excitement made his words a little shaky. Where did you find the other half of the map?" "On a person's body." Linny said, "Falbert, I went to the Wulonghout mountain range with another person. Grandma's son should know who this person is." "Who?" Falbert was stunned. Sun Luiwe just said that Linny went out with a friend. Where and with whom, Falbert didn't ask. At this moment, he turned to look at Grandma's son and asked. "Sun Jingyi of the Sun family should be considered a relative of mine." Grandma's son didn't know the hidden story and said truthfully, "Sun Jingyi? What? It's her?" After hearing this, Falbert was stunned. Tears couldn't help but flow from his eyes. This was a kind of happiness that was hard to describe. It was the feeling and happiness of surviving a disaster. "Xiaoyi, what do you want to say?" "Sun Jingyi has a jade pendant and the map was taken from the jade pendant." Linny said, "And this time in the Wulonghout mountain range I met the Heaven Ranker again. One time, when the Heaven Ranker woke up, he suddenly realized that I wasn't Lear and wanted to harm me. But when Sun Jingyi stopped him, the Heaven Ranker said that she was you, so he let me go. I think Falbert should understand who she is. This is also the reason why I'm looking for you in private. Luiwe Jingyi is our daughter." Falbert held Sun Luiwe's hand excitedly and said very happily, "So, our daughter didn't die and returned to the Sun family. She really didn't die. No wonder when I first saw her I felt that she was very familiar. I thought it was because she was a relative, but I didn't expect that she was our daughter." At this time, Sun Luiwe was also a little confused. Although she didn't remember the past, she still knew that she had a daughter who was killed by the enemy. When she thought about it she would be sad, but she didn't expect that her daughter didn't die. Not dead and it's still Sun Jingyi? Sun Luiwe was very surprised and an expression of disbelief appeared on her face, but it was quickly replaced by a happy smile. No matter what, whether she remembered or not, it was always a good thing that her daughter didn't die. Chapter 2336. Aside from that, we also discovered that so-called precious treasure of your sect. Linny didn't give Falbert too much time to react. "It's a strange white stone." "What? You've even found the treasure? Where is it now?" Falbert looked at Linny with shock and excitement, but then Falbert shook his head. "I'm sorry Linny, I was too excited. You found the treasure so it should be yours. You didn't even say anything so of course I won't ask for it back. It's gone even if you wanted it. I gave it to someone else." Linny smiled and shrugged. "Gave it to someone else?" Falbert was shocked. Linny took it for himself so Falbert wouldn't say anything. But giving it to someone else made Falbert's heart ache. "Who did you give it to? That thing is very precious." "I gave it to Sun Jingyi," Linny said. "She went back to House Sun to use it." "Huh?" Falbert paused and didn't know whether to laugh or cry. "Are you trying to scare me to death? I say Linny, what kind of gift is that? She's not an outsider, is she?" "Haha." Linny laughed. "Right, does Jingyi know about this?" Falbert suddenly asked. "Nope. That's why I told you guys in private. It was all my suspicions and guesses. Jingyi doesn't know." Linny shook his head. "Because this is too complicated and the enemy is too strong. I don't want her to know too much. She'll worry. That's why I came back to tell you guys. As for whether or not to tell her, it's up to you guys." "Complicated? The enemy is too strong?" Falbert paused and looked at Linny. "Enemy? What enemy?" "I fought with the people who destroyed your sect." Linny told Falbert and Grandma's son about what happened in Wulonghout Mountains. "What? You fought with them?" Falbert listened to Lin Yi's story and was shocked. He thought that Lin Yi went to Wulonghout Mountains to find the treasure according to the map. He didn't expect Lin Yi to have a life and death battle with the enemy. When he heard that Lin Yi and the Heaven Ranker worked together to kill an early-stage Heaven Ranker, Falbert was shocked. Thinking about Lin Yi and Sun Jingyi's dangerous journey, Falbert was worried for them. However, it was a close shave. In the end they still came back. Lin Yi didn't hide anything. He told them about the Fire Lion clan and the Spider clan. He didn't even hide the fact that he went to the Tagan family and stole the refining method of the essence necklace. "How is this close shave?" Falbert breathed a sigh of relief. "Little E, thank you. Thank you for protecting Jingyi along the way. I owe you another favor." "Falbert, we're family. With our relationship it's a bit like an outsider," Linny waved his hand. "Moreover, Sun Jingyi and I are also very good friends." Linny couldn't help but blush. He and Sun Jingyi seemed to be lovers? There wasn't anything in the past. Falbert also knew about this relationship. But it was different now. Sun Jingyi was Falbert's daughter. If he and Sun Jingyi had something, how would he explain it to Falbert? So thinking about this, Lin Yi felt awkward and had a headache. He could only define their relationship as good friends. Haha. When Peng Zhan was hospitalized, Falbert knew that Lin Yi, Sun Jingyi, and Ling Shan had an ambiguous relationship. Otherwise, the two wouldn't be going to the hospital all the time. Falbert didn't think too much about it then, and he didn't think too much about it now. Jingyi wasn't raised by me and Luo Yue, so I don't have the right to interfere with her decisions. As long as she's happy, it's fine. Haha. Lin Yi could only smile bitterly. He quickly changed the topic. Right, should we tell Jingyi? Don't tell her for now. Falbert sighed and shook his head. Although I really want to reunite with her, you said that the enemy is too strong. If I reunite with her, not only will it bring trouble to her, but it will also bring trouble to me and Luo Yue. At that time, the trouble will definitely be transferred to you. So, for the sake of caution, it's better not to think too much. That's true, but isn't it a bit unfair to Jingyi? Lin Yi could see Sun Jingyi's loneliness and desolation. It had to do with her family background that her uncle didn't care for her, and her grandmother didn't love her. She didn't have parents since she was young, and House Sun didn't value her that much. If possible, it would be a good thing to let Sun Jingyi know about her parents. However, Falbert's concerns were also Lin Yi's concerns. Sun Jingyi showed her true face in front of Tag Unlong. It was hard to guarantee that they wouldn't investigate Sun Jingyi's background. However, if they found out that she was from the Sun family, they could only suspect that she was a relative of Sun Luo Yue. They wouldn't suspect that she was Sun Luo Yue's daughter, since her surname was Sun. This was the same as Lin Yi didn't consider this before. He walked into the mistake of looking alike between relatives. Even if the Tag Unlong family found Sun Jingyi, there wouldn't be any flaws if Sun Jingyi didn't reunite with Falbert and Grandma Sunday. They couldn't implicate Falbert and Grandma Sunday. The enemy was too strange and powerful, so there was nothing wrong with being careful. However, Tag Unlong had to wake up first. Among the people who had seen Sun Jingyi, Razi had run away. No one from the Tag Unlong family knew where Sun Jingyi was. It wouldn't be easy to find her with just a painting. This is indeed not fair, but there's no other way. If we get involved, Luo Yue and I will be in danger. After all, Luo Yue doesn't have any strength, and my strength isn't enough to protect them. Falbert sighed. That's fine. We'll talk about this later. Lin Yi nodded. As for strength, we'll slowly increase it. Here's a small chi gathering pill. Falbert, take it and upgrade yourself to the early phase of Earth class first. Small chi gathering pill? For me? Falbert was slightly stunned. He excitedly took the small chi gathering pill from Lin Yi. This thing wasn't a good thing in the ancient sects, but in Falbert's hands, it was a miracle medicine.